was his answer. And then, like you said, like,
whenever the fuck man tomorrow comes out.
And they've already said they're not doing a Peacemaker season 3 as of right now, so he's in Man of Tomorrow. That's it.
Well, that's what they're setting up in the end credits.
And you know what people are getting mad about, mad at DC, James Gunn about right now, is when James Gunn was posting stuff about Man of Tomorrow and trying to build hype. The thing that people are crashing out on social media right now and just getting super pissy is James Gunn keeps trying to make posts like, look how cool Rick Flag Sr. is. And he keeps just trying to, like, post about Rick Flag Sr. And people just don't give a shit. And it's just, like, it's kind of funny. It's like, dude, what are we doing? Like, why are you hyping up this? But I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you know this yet, Connor, I found enough proof to convince me that the chick from Andor that plays Andor's sister, she's 100% Wonder Woman in this movie. Like, bro, she's definitely Wonder Woman. Because, like, I seen some things about her, and I'm like, and she was doing training for Man of Tomorrow and stuff, and, like, people were like, oh, it's going to be Maxwell, it's going to do this thing, like.
Let's do the introduction here.
Oh, yeah, we're doing Marvel Lego for the introduction. When did we get Marvel Lego? What was the...
we've just been we're beating through all the Lego games.
Is this a fun one? You guys like this one, the superhero?
Yeah, it's not very good. It's a little busted.
It's a little busted, Jay.
Alright, well, hello everybody. Today we're doing volume 16 of the Joe and Connor's Power Hour.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we thought we'd come together in light of the failure of Supergirl. It did very, very poorly at the box office. It hasn't quite made back its production budget, and with marketing, it was a big failure. And also, didn't do very good critically. So we figured we would discuss the flop, discuss the future of the DCU. Joe, get us started. What are your thoughts? What did you think of Supergirl, Joe?
I was one of the more positive ones with Supergirl. Like, I see a lot of the issues it has, and the bad definitely outweighs the good. Like, there's things I like. The biggest misstep is the story, the villain. If you've read Woman of Tomorrow, there wasn't enough Supergirl swinging her sword for me. Like, the fact that she did at the end, I wanted to see, like... And also, the other issue with this, I know this movie wasn't directed by James Gunn, but there's kind of things in this movie where I'm like, it kind of feels... Like, I don't know if you've seen the thing about they're doing Snyder territory behind the scenes stuff now, where apparently James Gunn changed the end song because he wanted that needle drop at the end, and then apparently there's another cut of Supergirl, and the director that did Cruella basically came in and he's like, oh, this is my movie, and then James Gunn's like, no, we're gonna change that, and like, so, and it turned out, editing wise, is what's fucked this movie, is that it was a different cut, which makes me
I've heard a lot of people say that there's an 11-minute longer Craig Zelensky cut or whatever. I do kind of question how much could really be changed.
Yeah, it probably isn't that much different.
You know? Because it's like, what could be changed in 11 minutes? It sounds like they cut down Kraglund's story for brevity.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I was kind of fine with. Like, I thought I got it. He was sex trafficker, man.
Yeah.
He was selling kids off to marry his weird
like,
pirates.
The way I look at the film, like, a lot of people want to dog and say it's a trash film, but, like, the thing that people need to understand that I really like is this guy's not going to be on a villain ranking list or any time ever. But if you've read the comic, they just made him the biggest piece of shit ever with no redemption.
Right.
And he's boring. But, like, I kind of like him in the vein of, like, a Phase 1 Marvel villain. Where he's just kind of that, like, really bad. Like, he feels like a better Malekith to me, where he's kind of like, okay, this guy is shitty, but then you're like, oh, what makes him good is that I don't think he's a good character. But I like that they stuck the landing with him just being a piece of shit.
Right.
Like, and that's what I was talking to one of my friends
about. Well, I mean, the movie's ultimately about, like, Supergirl's arc of nihilism.
Yeah.
And how she kind of stays this nihilist, but her super moment is keeping the child pure, which I thought was kind of... I mean, it was decent.
I think some of the flashback stuff was some of the best stuff. I think I will say
Yeah.
this: my favorite thing about this movie is actually there's one scene with Kara and her dad in this movie, and I think it is one of the best acted scenes in the DCU so far.
Right.
Where I really liked it, and I also got to say, because they got to set it for Man of Tomorrow, even though I was a much bigger fan of Superman than I was Supergirl, and that's a hot take for some people because they want to ride the Henry Cavill Superman train, and like we want to hate James Gunn and all that BS. But one of the things that
I don't know why people hate on James Gunn
I don't
so
either,
bad.
but the thing I really
He's
do,
far better than Zack Snyder.
yeah, the thing I do,
Undeniably.
yeah, the thing I really do like was the fact that I like the scenes of how he's talking to Kara, and like when we first see her in Supergirl, she's the drug party girl, whatever, calling him a bitch and doing all this stupid stuff, and then here she's more depressed and more kind of trying to be a Diet Coke Captain Marvel,
Right.
I call her, which is like my nickname for her. Where she like
That's kind of unfair because Captain Marvel has literally zero character.
yeah, that's
Captain
fair.
Marvel's a fucking horrible
Fine.
character.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that's not a fair comparison. We'll compare her to someone else, but like
She's like, I don't know.
yeah, just another just kind of rage bait, like crazy, just kind of whatever, going through her issues.
Right.
But like, I feel like I like how he pulls her in and kind of the scene of like when she first comes to Earth, the way he talks to her, the way that they kind of like have this establishment, and I like it better too. I don't know if people hate this, but I like it better that we know that Jor-El is a piece of shit, and
Right.
and people keep trying to think, oh, what if they reveal in Man of Tomorrow that Brainiac's gonna be the one behind everything? I really hope James Gunn just goes. I recently finished I recently caught up on Invincible, and I fucking loved it. And I saw the inspiration of like how of how James Gunn clearly took the idea of the Viltrumite shit for the first movie. You can see it if you rewatch Superman that he definitely took that idea from that storyline. And I think that the idea here is like what's going on with Krypton and him just being a piece of shit. I really hope they don't ever retcon that because I like the idea that he is just a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, the whole arc is like, you don't have to be defined by your...
So I like that because she
Family.
spent far more time on Krypton. I like that they literally like laid out like, hey, look, this is what Earth is like, and you're gonna love Earth. And the beginning of the movie, she's like, oh, I'm gonna go fuck off on all these planets, go drink, celebrate my birthday, whatever. Joe, like, oh, my dog's kidnapped. He's gonna die. He's gonna die in a couple days. I need to go and do something, whatever. And he's like, just come back to Earth. Like, just come chill. This place is awesome. And like, I kind of like the hopefulness you're getting with his Superman in those little moments. And I think that's really cool.
No, I don't disagree.
Yeah, I think
I thought the movie... my problem is, like, I think the stuff that's taken from Tom King's comic book is really good.
yes.
I like a lot of Tom King's stuff. I know everyone hates him because he was, like, ran a gulag. Ran a fucking gulag. But, like, he's actually... as much as people want to come up with this idea that they don't like him, so he's a bad writer, it's just sadly not the case. Compared to most of the fucking slop... Have you read the Harley Quinn fart fetish issue, for example? Tom King didn't write that bullshit.
No, but that's pretty pathetic.
There was the fart fetish issue, or the Stinkorama scratch and sniff issue. That's why I don't read modern comics, because they're fucking horrible mostly. But Tom King is one of the recent modern writers that I think is actually pretty solid. And I think the stuff that adapted his work worked really well. And me and Aiden were talking about this in our drunk view, but Aiden's like, I really liked these parts. I'm like, yeah, that's everything Tom King did, and everything else was made up by presumably like Craig Gillespie and everyone who wrote this shit.
They're letting him do the Mr. Miracle show still. So that should be interesting.
He should, because the Mr. Miracle show's good.
And I think that he's more hands-on for, because I think James Gunn, that's animated and that's kind of more built on his world. So, but it is in the DCU. Like, even though he says he's not going to do Darkseid, apparently that show is going to have Darkseid in it. So
yeah.
So like, I think it's just
you don't have to like have Darkseid and be like, I'm Thanos right now. Because I mean, Darkseid didn't really. I mean, he was Thanos when compared to the superheroes. He's just a fucking guy that showed up a lot in fucking New Gods. So I mean, not that he isn't, some overpowered god character there too. don't get me wrong, but everyone is an overpowered god character there, so it's like, okay, you know, him and everyone else.
Yeah, I feel that's fair. I mean, I feel like they just are.
So like I think part of the problem with like the Zack Snyder movie is they're like, all right, we're gonna immediately try to get Darkseid, and then we're gonna kind of like have him just get sucked away so he can come back later and actually. And it's the same thing that fucking Marvel did with Kang. I don't know what the fucking superhero writers are with, like, oh, this guy's gonna be the most powerful character right now. Right now he looks like a little fucking bitch pussy, but trust me, next time the fucking superheroes are gonna be shaking in their fucking boots.
Kang's big finale was getting punched by super
Yeah.
powerless Paul Rudd.
No, I think it's unfortunate what happened to Supergirl, but I think it's pretty emblematic of where the superhero genre is going. The Marvel Universe, like, you got Spider-Man and Batman. I think the Batman 2 is probably going to make pretty close to $1 billion. People are going to like it. The fucking Spider-Man movie, probably pretty close to $1 billion. I personally strongly believe that Spider-Man will probably outperform Doomsday, especially going up against...
Well, that's because they're actually making a movie. Like if you look at it. Like,
well, yeah,
that's
the thing is, like, Doomsday, even if it's a pretty good movie, it's not a real movie. You know?
You know
what I'm saying?
You want to talk about the directors. Like, Doomsday is gonna sell as a fan gimmick of like, hey, look at all this.
It's gonna be a fan gimmick of epic proportions, in my opinion.
But I think they're gonna be allowed to do it because of the fact that Spider-Man is gonna be so good. And the thing that they're coming off of that is really great is...
Well, yeah, I guess step one is you gotta make Spider-Man good. Because it's gonna make a lot of money whether or not it's good, but one thing that's not set in stone is it good? And I liked that Destin Daniels character's Shang-Chi movie, that little character.
Yeah.
But one major problem I had with Shang-Chi is that the second half of the movie is fucking horrible. The first half is really cool, but once they go to like Dragon World and like it was Michelle Yeoh in that? No, it was fucking, I don't know. It was a whole bunch of it was pretty fucking, it got pretty fucking stupid after.
No, yeah, I mean,
after
I
a point
get that.
when they're like, now it's time to see the true world of Shang-Chi.
But I think that whole idea was literally like the fact that they had the biggest issue is that was still like Phase 4 trying to do all the weird fuckery shit. They're still building the Kang. They're still doing all that.
Yeah.
So they had to make some changes. But for me, the thing that I really like...
And also, is this going to fall into the Achilles heel where it has to tie too much into like
No, that's
Daredevil
the best
and
thing
the
about Spider-Man
hands?
that's been said, though. That's the crazy thing, right? So, like, even if, like, they said, like I said, you're not going to see at the end of this movie Spider-Man will return in Doomsday type BS, right? This movie, the only MCU connection, like, of the main MCU timeline stuff, really, that's really tying into this, is the fact that apparently there's a scene with Yelena and Peter where they're neighbors and they see each other and it's an awkward moment. And, like, but it's not to, like, hey, we're here to recruit you to Avengers for Doomsday, right? It's Peter's, on his own. He's not living the Tony Stark money type stuff. Like, the stuff I've heard about Spider-Man is that they actually did what people wanted. He has Spider-Man villains in this movie. They're not created from Tony Stark. They're Spider-Man's villains. And everyone's worried about because all the reports of Spider-Man says there's this villain, that villain, this villain, that villain. But one of the best things that they've done...
Well, we know he's fighting the Hand, and that's just like Daredevil and the Defenders.
But that is the crazy thing. That stuff can be set up, but they're not in this movie.
We see them in the trailer. They're fighting the Hand.
No,
ninjas.
Daredevil's not.
Oh yeah, Daredevil. Well, that's the problem. Is
that's what I'm telling you. Is like the stuff with the hand. That's
who
important.
are these hand characters? Sigourney Weaver shows up. She says, "I'm
She's
alive,
not supposed to be there either,
motherfuckers."
so...
That's the secret twist. Is that Sigourney Weaver's alive, motherfuckers?
Well, the big twist is they're trying to build people off on everyone pretending it's not obvious who Sadie Sink from Stranger Things is playing, right? She is Jean Grey. Like that is happening.
What if she plays a gender swapped Harry Osborn?
That'd be crazy, but that's not what they're doing. So, like, the thing is that they tried to, like, make this big surprise, just like they did the Toby and Andrew thing, tried to pretend they're not in it, like, type of shit. But here's the crazy thing. They're trying to play that as their biggest secret because they're hiding bigger things. And that's the crazy thing, because this movie is going to be... The big thing is, even though it's in the marketing, sort of, they're keeping it out of the main marketing for the general audience. The villain of this movie is... Did you ever watch the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon?
No.
You ever saw that one? Okay.
I've seen like episodes, but
so this whole movie is playing off of something that was set on in the mythos of Daredevil, right? So,
Right.
ditto Born Again spoilers you need to know of right now. I'm just going to drop them right now because the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer kind of already ruined it. Kingpin's not mayor in Spider-Man. It's a new mayor, right? And then Kingpin's role, other than being mayor, is
But
that
that
he...
wouldn't. I guess that wouldn't be a spoiler because I wouldn't. Yeah, I haven't seen Daredevil, so I knew that Kingpin was mayor from the
Yeah.
from the reviews.
Yeah,
and
so he
whatnot
got
that I
he got
read,
defeated. So he got defeated, and his other thing, his biggest thing is being the kingpin of crime, right? The king criminal underworld. Well, one of the people that is casted in this movie that has not shown up in any piece of marketing is Tombstone. And the big deal about this movie right now.
They could do Silvermane, and they could get Nicolas Cage.
Well, what they're gonna
They
do?
should get Nicolas Cage.
Did
in
you
from
watch
the
Spider Noir?
multiverse. Yeah, I love.
I fucking love Spider Noir.
It's a good show.
Spider-Man Noir was awesome. I loved it. I love the scene when he's in the bar and he's beating the shit out of everyone. That shit was great. He's just drunk. No,
Yeah, it's not the. I mean, it's not like the greatest show ever, but I thought it was at least unique, which is something that I kind of wanted to point out with DC. Like, I think part of the problem with Supergirl is like, it didn't get great reviews. People are like, well, you kind of got the angle, and what they don't realize is the reason the MCU kept making money is because everybody was watching all of them because they wanted to be part of the conversation.
Yep.
That is no longer a thing. There's no conversation about these movies because no one gives a shit about superheroes right now, unfortunately.
But I think the other thing I was going to mention on the Spider-Man thing in terms of front of connecting the actual stuff that's going on in the movie is, did you watch Wonder Man?
No. I don't watch the Disney. I will eventually, but I'm making chronological videos on all the MCU.
I will
crap
tell you
to
this, and I know like
diagnose
people say like, oh, you have to watch this, that, three things, right? I want you to watch one thing before you watch Spider-Man, just one thing, and it's only Wonder Man, and it's because Dustin Daniel Cretton did Wonder Man as well as doing Spider-Man, right?
Oh, I didn't realize he did Wonder Man.
In Homecoming, you remember when Tony Stark had damage control that Vulture owned?
Right.
In Miss Marvel and in Wonder Man, damage control is no longer owned by Tony Stark. They are a new threat rising in the MCU as a street level threat. And there is a actor they cast for this movie named
Would Tony sell it off or some shit? How did they?
he
explain
lost it. When Tony died, somebody else bought it. And so in the previous projects, they've kind of just made them a shadowy organization where we just had random like office level thugs that just kind of seem like pencil pushers, right? But in the Spider-Man trailers, there's a guy played by an actor that's in this Severance show called Tremel Tillman, I believe is the actor, and he is talking to Spider-Man in the trailers and several other characters, and he is meant to play this character in Marvel Comics lore as William Mensker, who has huge ties to the X-Men mutant hunting stuff. And so this movie, as you see with Spider-Man, they're going through the whole so you know how in Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire they were doing the Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Man No More storyline, right?
Right.
This movie is taking pages of Peter No More because it's 4 years after No Way Home. So Peter is not gonna be Peter. You're like he's gonna be living Peter Parker. He's gonna go to college and do things, but don't be surprised if you're seeing just like in Spider-Man 2, where he's being a shitty ass student because he doesn't want to be Peter Parker. Because there's no reason to be Peter Parker. Aunt May is dead. His friends don't know who he is. His girlfriends don't know who he is.
His multiple girlfriends? Is he polyamorous?
No, his one girlfriend that because of the Doctor Strange spell,
Right.
nobody knows who he is.
Right.
So,
Okay. Yeah. I got
So
you.
they're
no,
doing that.
I remember. I saw
they're
the
gonna
movie.
make him the real villain of this movie, even though there's multiple things going on, is depression. Peter's biggest thing is depression. Like literally,
I think they should do Kraven's Last Hunt, but it's Spider-Man who does it in the end.
they might do
Tom
something.
Holland just says, "You know what? Fuck it."
Well, the whole thing about
it
this
was
whole
a good run. And
well,
he
the whole
just
thing
pulls
about
out
this whole movie that's crazy is like, you know how everyone loved the Batman.
He
right?
wraps his toes around the trigger of his shotgun.
Like this movie is essentially
And
like
he
kind of like the
screeches.
this movie is a kind of essentially similar to the Batman in the sense that like you're gonna get more Spider-Man than you get Peter Parker in this movie.
I hope so.
The side effect of this movie is the longer he's Spider-Man, the more he starts to mutate. Like, I don't think they'll go total man-spider craziness, but like, if you see the trailer, you've seen the trailer with the hand where he's fighting the hand, right? You realize when he's fighting the hand that he takes the, he breaks the katana, shatters it from when he's facing off the hand, right? In the MCU movies so far, what we've seen in Tom Holland's movies and in Infinity War and Endgame, Peter's never been that strong. He's that strong because his mutation is out of whack. And you see it from the time, like, they show the trailer, they show the footage in the trailer where Peter's having to sleep in those cocoons and, like, butt-ass naked and just keeps, like, falling off the building.
Right.
His powers are out of whack. Because when he goes to Bruce Banner and starts talking about things, he's asking questions about mutation. Because his DNA is off the wire because he's not living a normal life. He's living the life of the spider. And there's a voiceover line in the trailer from, I think the actor is Keith David, who's meant to be in this movie too, I heard.
Right.
He's literally like spiders that have 3 life cycles. And starts talking about the whole deal with that. And so they're diving into that, like literally, like, hey, the longer he's Spider-Man, the more effects you're going to feel with, like, what he's going through.
That sounds somewhat interesting.
And one of the cool things is, Scorpion's in this movie, right? From the trailers.
Right.
One of the best theories I heard for this movie is every time Peter has to go to school or has to go do something in this movie, since scorpions and spiders are predators, Scorpion's supposed to be not necessarily, he's not the main antagonist of this movie. But he shows up whenever Peter has something important to do, something he's looking forward to be annoying to Peter. Because basically, spiders and scorpions are natural predators. So he's showing up, like, very inconveniently. Like, just like, Spider-Man has to go do something. Oh, here's Scorpion. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And then, like, literally, they're doing that. And also, I don't know if you know this, but when they had Jackie Chan on set filming stuff to help with the fight scenes for Spider-Man, Tom Holland got injured because he did more of his stunts in this movie than he ever did in the other stuff. He even took on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to, like, start, like, doing all the crazy shit. Like,
really,
there's a lot of background stuff, like, that Tom Holland, like, wanted this movie to be so good. Because this movie's not good, Tom Holland was like, I'm gonna walk. Like, that was the big thing, is that he wants a good Spider-Man movie.
I respect that.
And apparently what he did, in order to make the best Spider-Man movie he could, he literally threw out, after No Way Home, even though people were all, No Way Home is a terrible movie, but it was very fan servicey. And so he looked online and went, okay, what kind of Spider-Man movie do the fans want? And he took all the stuff that the fans are literally talking about on social media, took notes of it.
Well, I think what he just needs to do is, what I think they should do, is just make a fucking Spider-Man movie.
Which is what this is. That's the crazy thing. Is if you follow, like, the hype
I'm
for the marketing...
slightly skeptical, unfortunately, about
You're
that.
still skeptical?
Well, a lot of fucking shit seems to be going on. I remember when Spider-Man 3 came out and everyone's like, there's 3 villains, that's way too many.
But do you remember the thing
and
that
here
happened?
It's like there's Hulk, there's Punisher,
but do you remember
there's
the whole
hands,
thing?
there's the Scorpion.
But do you remember the whole thing about... You
dude.
remember in the Fantastic Four movie, when you saw the beginning of the Fantastic Four movie, and even though the villain of the movie is Galactus, all the other characters just kind of are there for like 10 seconds and then just kind of out?
Yeah.
A lot of the characters in this movie, this is why the whole Tombstone thing comes into play, right? Tombstone's going to be this... There's this character in... Tombstone plays this role in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon where he takes on the mantle of this kind of criminal boss of crime called the Big Man, and he just starts running things from behind the scenes. They're gonna do it. That's why they're keeping Tombstone a secret in this movie. The whole plan is this movie's gonna lead to.
Why is the Tombstone also the Big Man in this movie?
Yes.
Why?
Why is he? Oh, because the fact that
it's 2 different characters.
Well, so like there's different arcs for the character, right? So like Tombstone isn't in any of the marketing because.
But why would they make Tombstone and the Big Man the same character when they're 2 different characters?
Well, it's the same character because in the Spectacular
No, they're
Spider-Man
not the same. In the Spectacular Spider-Man,
so in Spectacular Spider-Man, the Big Man role was like, imagine the Kingpin, right?
Right.
So Wilson Fisk left New York.
I think that might be a fan speculation based on someone who only watches the television shows.
No, I'm not saying that because
Big Man appeared in like 3 comics and then fucking.
Well, no, I'm just saying like
Frederick Foswell. He was the first man who was
right.
skeptical about whether or not Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
Well, the whole idea of this situation of the Big Man persona idea, and it doesn't even have to be the Big Man, it's just from the DNA idea, is the fact that Kingpin not being in New York means that, just like in the Penguin show in DC, right? People are trying... New York is up for grabs. Because I'm going to tell you this, and I'm not sure if you read this in the Daredevil reviews. In the end of Daredevil, Matt Murdock, headed into the next season of Daredevil, is in prison.
Oh.
So the reason that you're seeing the Hand running around in New York is Peter is not working with the Avengers. He's not, like, even the Hulk is in this movie and the Punisher's in this movie. He's not trying to work with people in this movie. At least not at first.
That is no.
He's on
not,
his.
It should be at first and at last, because the
Yes.
problem is Spider-Man was a solo character
Yes.
until they decided that he wouldn't be a solo.
So like
character.
Punisher is, even though Punisher is in this movie and Hulk is in this movie, Hulk will never be Spider-Man's ally. Peter goes to Hulk one time, from what I've heard of.
Spiders and Hulks are natural predators.
Yeah, so like he talks to him like one time, trying to find out about, get a science opinion about mutations.
I mean, that is pretty much what Mark
Yeah.
Ruffalo, and it's kind of disappointing, but
Yes.
since Endgame, Mark Ruffalo has cameoed in like 700 fucking
Yes.
projects, and it's just done nothing.
Yes, but this one he's gonna do a lot more because they're actually gonna. You're only gonna get a little bit of Smart Hulk,
Right.
and then because what's going on in the plot, they even show it in a lot more of the trailers now, where Hulk is gonna go back to being that really mean, savage Hulk, and like you're gonna see him start causing problems because because a lot of people have been building the basis on like people want to see Hulk and Spider-Man.
So we restarted.
What'd you say?
I was just talking to Aiden. Yeah, but I mean, to get back onto like the topic we were talking about before with Supergirl,
Yeah.
I think it flopped, and I think the DCU's kind of fucked, bro.
Yes. Now, what steps do you think could be taken to make DC successful?
Just make Batman movies and Superman movies.
Do you think that's the take?
I
Okay.
think Marvel should go just to making Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor movies. I think they need to go through a reboot.
But if they
I think, well, maybe they can pull off X-Men too, but that's a hard maybe, and it depends if Hugh Jackman's around. I genuinely think I think the big problem Supergirl's emblematic with, if Supergirl came out in 2018, the movie would have got 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, even if it was the worst pilot dog shit ever, and it would have made $750 million minimum. I mean, we were in a world where Shazam made almost $1 billion.
Right. Well, so the whole thing. With
The problem is no one cares. Everyone's tired of it. Any general audience is confused. I've been watching these. I've been a comic fan for 20 years, and I fucking am at the point where it's like, I don't want to watch the Disney Plus slop. I don't want to watch the. I like the. I kind of like that James Gunn is trying different things, but if he starts making the HBO Max shows just the slop, the fan service slop that the Disney Plus show is, like, I'm not gonna watch those.
I mean, he's doing far less.
And I feel like I'm doing a lot more than most people are doing. I feel like the general audience isn't going to be like, now I'm going to jump over and watch Peacemaker only on HBO Max.
Well, the only really, the
a
only
hard
really
sell.
shows, there's no shows you have to really watch. Like, you watch them if you enjoy the characters. But the one thing I know about the DCU so far in terms of the TV show stuff is, like, you can watch Creature Commandos. You don't need to watch Creature Commandos to, like, understand the story. Like,
Right.
He's telling you.
That's what was smart about Creature Commandos, is that, like, you know, there's some Rick Flag, not Rick Flair. Rick Flag Senior stuff, which I thought was mostly pretty good.
Yep.
And it was just like, oh, he's also here in Superman, you know?
What do you like?
That's it.
What do you like about the fact that they're saying that even though Superman was the first technical movie in the DCU, did you know that Clayface is actually the first movie chronologically in the DCU? Have you heard about that?
I mean, I think that's a good idea, because I think if everything's overly connected, that's going to suck. I think they should do all sorts of stuff. You could probably, like, I think Marvel had a better opportunity to do this than DC, but
Right, so they have
could make other shit, you know. You could make a show where it's, you know.
How will you feel about this movie being, like, chronologically the first project that starts this proper universe, even though Superman already was supposed to?
I mean, if we look at it that way, I mean, Captain America did the same thing, first
Right.
Avenger early on, so.
So you think Clayface being good in this chronologically being the first DCU movie could be a big thing?
Well, I just don't care that much about chronological order. I don't think it should matter that much.
Right. So then when you look at
Because I think that there's this idea in the superhero movies, and it's what killed the superhero movies, is we have to introduce every fucking character ever in the comics. Like, you can leave Bet well enough alone on some stuff, But even regardless of that, it's like, we should make a movie based on what's cool,
Right.
Supergirl wasn't on Earth, which I also think probably disappointed a lot of critics because they marketed the movie fucking horribly.
Yes.
Where, like, if I didn't read Woman of Tomorrow and I just saw the poster and I was Joe Smo, I'd be confused as fuck why she's on Earth for all of 3 minutes in the entire runtime. Because, like, you think Superman, you think Supergirl, you think she's jumping around Metropolis fighting people. And then the trailers show her fighting aliens with Jason Momoa for some reason. And people get confused on what the actual fuck is going on. And they're like, well, I probably missed the HBO Max show or Disney Plus show because people don't know the difference because they're normal people. They're not like us.
Yes.
They don't know the difference. They say, did I need to watch that Captain Marvel movie to get what's going on? And that's the problem with superhero movies is they've, like, the cinematic universe was a great thing when it was like Iron Man comes out and then a couple years later you got Iron Man 2, but then later on they made, like, Thor and Captain America, and they said, this is connected, so you got to watch these 5 movies. And they're like, well, I don't want to miss something because it's all so good. And even the ones people didn't like weren't even that bad. Like, Thor the Dark World was, like, not part of the formula and was bad by comparison. It's mostly just boring, honestly.
Yeah, it sure fucking is.
But, you know what? It just, to get the whole story, people will sit through Thor. But when it's like, between each film, of which there's 3 a year, you gotta watch 6 Disney Plus shows. And it's just too much. And I think that's the problem. And I think we're in a society where even if James Gunn made nothing but the best movies, the DCU it's out of date. I think 10 years ago, the DCU could have been this giant thing. But I think Zack Snyder made such a dog shit fucking universe that DC's opportunity to make a cinematic universe until, at least until it can all come around and superhero cinema comes back in, potentially, if there's some sort of renaissance. But I do think for the next, like, couple of years, like the next decade, maybe it's time to take it back a little bit, I don't think we can take Ant-Man risks. Right. Now, I do think something like, we were talking about Clayfish earlier, but, like, something like Clayface where it's like $40 million and blah, blah, blah. I see that as something where they were like, I think Supergirl was trying to set up the Superman family, which I think they miscalculated and thought that would be safer than it is. But evidently audiences literally don't give a fucking shit about superheroes right now. Clayface is like a Blumhouse horror movie that happens to be, budget-wise, or like A24. So I think it's pretty sustainable and possible to make money, and if it doesn't, it was an experiment that's a flash in the pan, and didn't cost that much money in a relative sense. So I don't know. I think there's, and we look at the first Superman movie. And the problem with the first Superman movie is that it made money, and it did well on HBO Max, but it wasn't like a monstrous success by any stretch of the imagination. And especially with people not that interested in Supergirl, one has to question if people are gonna show up for Superman 2, if nobody could be fucked to show up to Supergirl. And then, like, further other stuff. And then there is the Batman problem, where they don't want to step on Robert Pattinson's toes, but they need fucking Batman really bad to carry the universe. So I don't know. What do you think about the big Batman? What's your view? Am I off base here?
With the Batman scenario?
Just with, like, the fucking universe being played out or whatever.
Yeah, well, I think
I don't even think it, but I think people are going to blame James Gunn. I think they're going to laugh and say, we should have had Zack Snyder around. But I think the ultimate problem is it could be Zack Snyder, it could be, God the King, Jesus Christ, it doesn't matter.
There's going to be a lot of issues. But
people are tired of superheroes.
Their biggest issue to fix this problem, and I've said this from the beginning, I know people hate the idea of, I keep seeing people say, people love that things are standalone, they don't go good on their own, right? Their biggest issue is, open your Google panel right now. my biggest issue with DC right now, other than like Supergirl being a movie, right, which is like that's a bad placement of where to put your movie is to take. Oh, it is Superman. Now we're gonna make a character that's just like him, but she's the cousin, right?
Right.
Your big issue is I understand that Matt Reeves has his own narrative he wants to tell, right? But
Right.
if you go to Google and you type in David Cornsweet and Robert Pattinson, even though he's older and even though his universe in the Batman is okay, it's dark and gritty, and he's literally, like is meant to be like a beginning Batman in that movie.
Right.
All you have to do in the Batman 2 narrative like this, you don't even have to say the Batman 2 is in the same world properly as like say Superman, because colors and rainbows, whatever, different shades. In the comics, you have had bright characters and dark characters share the screen. So
The Batman's too good to be fucking
Right.
cinematic universe slop.
Well, that's kind of the problem too. Is
Yes.
I don't think Matt Reeves would want anything to do with
I
that.
think Matt
And I
Reeves
think
would
if
kill
they-
himself. I think Robert Pattinson would kill himself.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like Robert Pattinson. He's one of those actors that just doesn't give a fuck.
But
If
that's
he's
the
not
problem.
passionate about the project. He's
but
gonna
that's the
leave.
problem that they did. That's a really big issue. Is like
Once his contract's up.
no matter who you get to play the next Batman and make this amazing Batman Bat Family movie, you're not going to compete with what you did.
Right.
So the
Because
biggest issue
the
is
Batman movies are really good standalone.
so my whole
movies.
point is I understand the whole thing. I'm not saying connect the movies, but I'm saying like if you're going to do something, I've seen fan art of Lex Luthor standing next to Robert Pattinson's like Bruce Wayne and having a conversation. I'm not saying like, hey, make everything connection, make the Batman like we have to mention everything that Batman did. The general audience will watch the Batman movies. Batman's enough of a character. I'm not saying you need to explain everything. I'm just saying you have to do all that, right? But you can't afford to recast Batman
Right.
because there's already a successful Batman
Well,
franchise.
that's the other thing is
Yes.
we were talking about confusing the shit out of general audiences, and one thing I realized is like, I mean, it's a mixture of general audience. Like people like the Batman. Why mess with a good thing?
Right.
Would Robert Pattinson be willing to come in? But like, how do you do a DC universe without Batman?
Right.
So like, you can't really afford to wait, and that's almost what I mean by like the fucking fatigue of it, because. Batman is a more I love Superman. He's classic.
Yes.
And he's a popular character. He was able to carry the David Cornsweet movies.
Yeah.
I honestly think perhaps a solution to the DCU's problem is just fucking dial it back. If that means just trying to make a really successful Superman franchise and like a couple other ideas, I just think like they announced like this giant slate.
Yes.
And like maybe even at the time it wasn't unconceivable that like the Authority makes money and stuff, and I think the Authority is a cool comic book.
But everything in their slate keeps getting canceled.
But
That's their problem.
it has to get canceled because no one cares.
Right.
And it's not the fault of them. I mean, I understand a lot of people don't like Supergirl. I think Supergirl has problems, but I don't think it's a lack of them picking cool projects. I think part of it's just the state of films right now. I mean, Obsession made far more money than Supergirl, and that movie costed less than $1 million.
So let me ask you this: do you think the DC is in better hands if Clayface was the second movie to come out after Superman?
No, it wouldn't change a thing.
I don't think it would. Maybe if like it was really pop, but I don't think Clayface and Supergirl are related. I think the problem is people saw it, and I think people are
But
kind
do
of
you think the general
superhero
audience
fatigued
would-
because
Do you think the general audience will dig Clayface because it's got nothing to do with main comic book characters, despite the
I
whole
think if
villain
it's
movie?
good, it could get kind of a I mean, it really. First off, it doesn't have to do that well. I think you're gonna get the general comic book stuff people, so that'll make some money. Probably just make enough money to at least get production budget. But the thing that Clayface could potentially have beyond like guys like you and me who see every superhero movie, no matter what type of shit garbage it is, or if it's the masterpiece that doesn't sell. I think Clayface has enough to probably make a good base off of that alone, and how cheap it is, and then if they manage to also make it a good movie that can interest other people that aren't necessarily, maybe they were interested in superhero movies and find, like, look at Joker, for example. Like, Joker is a movie. The first Joker was a pretty okay, like, Martin Scorsese, Paul Schrader homage starring the Joker. So you had, like, the base, like, people like you and me who would see it no matter what, because it's Joker and we talk about comic books and we like comic books and comic book movies and so on and so on. But then people also said this is kind of like one of those old 70s movies that's kind of interesting, and critics found it interesting and talked about it. So I think that's kind of what Clayface needs to go for. So I don't think it's a terrible strategy. Right. Part of the hard thing is, like, I mean, for the fans, you kind of do got to create other new concepts.
Right. So my concern is, and this is you mentioned the whole double down on the Superman stuff, right? So on the super family and whatever you need to do. So
I think what they should have done. Sorry to interrupt you, but what they should have done is, even if Man of Tomorrow takes place after Supergirl, I think they should have put out Man of Tomorrow first and introduced Supergirl, and then made Supergirl as a prequel. And I think if Man of Tomorrow connected with audiences, then Supergirl would have done a lot better.
Does Supergirl not doing well at the box office, like, when you think of Man of Tomorrow as a movie, but when you look at the hype that's going on around Man of Tomorrow, what they're promising as a movie, do you think Man of Tomorrow right now, without a trailer, without marketing, just from what you know of, if I told you, if I'm just a random person on the internet, and I come to you and I say, this is what Man of Tomorrow is about, are you, as a general person, if I say, hey, Man of Tomorrow is going to be Superman, and then there's going to be Super Friends, and then they're going to fight Brainiac.
Yeah.
Are you seeing Man of tomorrow? If I say I have this drive on this thing, on Man of Tomorrow, without a marketing basis.
I would, yeah, I mean, I like Superman, which is something that means I'll watch it no matter what, but...
Right, but do you want to see Superman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, and potentially whatever, even if it's for a small cameo, them all here to fight Brainiac? Like, my biggest concern with Brainiac being the villain is because of what has happened with Marvel's big success in their beginning, right?
Right.
My issue is Brainiac is a villain that feels like, I know he's not a robot, but I feel like there's a lot of directions where
you think they're gonna be
Brainiac
Ultron in it.
Brainiac is gonna get confused, unless they do what I really hope they do, which is, and I said this when I got done watching Supergirl because I saw a classic notion of this idea. My whole issue with Brainiac's thing, and I love that they picked someone that's not a known actor, of course, so that's great. My issue is James Gunn has to break his biggest trend in order for Brainiac to be good and well received.
What's that?
He can't make him funny.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So, if he's gonna do this, the mistake that Marvel made with Age of Ultron is that. So let's treat like Superman
Ultron
as a solo
was a
superhero.
giant meme.
Yep. So you look at the first Superman movie. I know people disagree. I think the DCU's biggest strength, while obviously having David Cornswet, is I think their biggest strength is, while David Cornswet is their new Superman and he's great and all these great things, is the biggest thing. I know people get sick, like you said, superhero fatigue. People get sick of seeing Lex Luthor in every movie, right? But when Lex Luthor showed up as a surprise in Peacemaker Season 2, even just general people, whatever they have, I feel that kind of connective tissue. Nicholas Hoult is interesting enough as Lex Luthor to balance Superman out, that I feel like, for me, the reason I like Superman so much is that
Nicholas Holt's just great.
I love the fact that, like, even though we're having all these super characters in this movie, the biggest draw you have to do to me to convince me that this movie is good, and I know people are going to hate this take, if this movie is sold as a Superman movie, I don't give a shit if it's sold as a Superman movie, because the biggest draw they have for this movie is comic movies' biggest draw is we're going to do these big battles, right? I want to succeed and make a battle of the mind, right? So I want people are going to go, oh, we've waited forever to see Superman and Brainiac switch. I don't care about Superman running up there and doing heat vision and trying to freeze Brainiac. What I want to have them happen is, I want them to do, because I already kind of set this up in Peacemaker already, I want them to come here and go, okay, Lex Luthor is the smartest man on Earth, which is what they've already established in the DCU is that he's so smart. But then Mr. Terrific's here and he's kind of thinks he's this smart.
Right.
I want them to be like, even though it is a Superman movie and they've kind of gone back and forth whether it is, whether it isn't, Jim Jones kind of said it's more of a Lex Luthor movie. So if it's more of a Lex Luthor movie, but Superman's in it and they're like kind of working together, but they fight first and he's got his war suit, whatever, all that type of deal, make it where Lex Luthor truly is the one that has to literally put his ego aside and go, okay, this guy is really smarter than me, and he has alien tech, and he has this alien from another planet. But he said, don't make him funny. They cast a German actor, whatever they do. Make it where they truly can conceive a villain that is a problem. And yes, Superman has the powers and has to eventually come in there and fight stuff. But like, I know people the people that hated on Superman, they want Superman to be powerful. And,
Right.
and like that's what they keep waiting for, but they're being disingenuous because Superman got his shit rocked consistently through the first Superman movie. But that's what I really loved about Superman, as much people hate that, is that he's not it's his beginning. He's not just a god of like Henry Cavill proportions of just getting constantly destroying things. What I would love to have happen is the way that they beat Brainiac in this movie is through the fact that it is that Brainiac is built as a villain as like playing off the chessboard and being a consistent threat of like calculating decisions. And the only through, even though there's all these superhero characters, the only way they beat Brainiac is through Brainiac and Lex Luthor going through blows through their minds. So like the fact that they have to do things is like, yeah, Lex Luthor's gonna do some cool shit in that war suit, but it has to be that Lex Luthor comes up with a plan to help Superman figure, okay, you know what we have to do? We have to do this. And this is how we go and beat this guy. And
Right.
and I think the only way that works is, the only way Man of Tomorrow is successful is if Brainiac is successfully, truly a really good villain, as like, not as like a big CGI green guy that's going to be here, and as a guy that is sitting here and holding all the cards and going, oh, Kryptonians, yeah, like I'm intellectually smarter than all you guys, and I've taken out all the Kryptonians. I'm interested in you. You're a relic to me. I have all these interesting ideas. And if you make it where like, because I do think that, being that this is kind of the second Superman movie, I do think that Superman will get some sort of a power upgrade, but I hope that they still make it where he still, even if there's a time jump, I hope he still struggles against bigger
Have you
threats.
ever seen that picture where in the 1950s they gave Superman this power to shoot little Supermans from his hands?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I hope they do that in the movie.
Do you think they'll do that?
Probably not, but it'd be funny. Yeah, no, I think there's something to be said about yeah, I mean, I think you got to make it good. I think one thing that Supergirl kind of lacked, Superman had, people really liked like Mr. Terrific and stuff, and that Mr. Terrific fight scene was really cool.
And apparently what I'm hearing now about that is that they're going to do the biggest concern, that I see why you're concerned about the DCU, is like the fall of Supergirl's problem is now they're taking another character that was in Superman that people liked, and they're going to do some sort of Mr. Terrific project. But now we're running into the project of making shows and movies that are going to be...
I think you got to keep it. I think, and James Gunn's indicated he wants to do this because I think he realized it too. But they got to be very careful not to
oversaturate the market.
But also make stuff too necessary. I mean, like I said, I didn't watch the Miss Marvel crap or Secret Invasion.
Yeah, the thing I'm
because
worried
Secret
about,
Invasion was just, everyone said this is fucking horrible.
the thing I'm worried about, and I know people don't care that much about the social media presence and like building hype and stuff, but the thing that I'm really worried about is they're now all of a sudden, after Superman, there's now all of a sudden this Jimmy Olsen show. I don't know if you've heard about this, but
Yeah,
Jimmy
it's like
Olsen.
The Office, but at the
Yep.
Daily Planet.
But they're now talking about
Which
Gorilla
would-
Grodd's in it and all these things that are happening. And
Well,
like,
in what context is Gorilla Grodd in it? Also, I think that's a character you probably want to reserve for like the Flash, but I suppose they're not gonna touch the Flash for a while since the whole Ezra Miller movie. wasn't very well received and
Yeah,
made
fucking
$0.25.
Yeah, let's
You guys could
remove.
just make Gorilla Grodd a shitpost character for the Jimmy Olsen comedy show.
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't think Gorilla Grodd's gonna be like punching up fucking Jimmy and all that shit.
I think the gag is.
And also, like,
Why do we need a Jimmy Olsen show though? Like, why is that something that needs?
because Jimmy Olsen is in like the top 5 characters in the DC universe with the most comics under like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
Yeah, there's
They made
thousands of Jimmy
they
Olsen
made
comics.
maybe not thousands, but there's a few hundred Jimmy Olsen comics. And the thing about the Jimmy Olsen comics, especially in like the 50s, there's this. Well, first off, Jimmy Olsen has the distinct honor of his comic book introduced Darkseid for one, which is kind of funny.
Did they sell well? Like in that idea?
They had everyone on it. They had Jerry Conway. One of the only books Jack Kirby got mad at Stan Lee for being a fucking asshole, right? So he's like, I'm going to DC. And they're like, what do you want to do? And he said, Jimmy Olsen is the most bestest comic book here, so I want to do the Jimmy Olsen comic book. I'm also going to introduce my fucking weird New Gods crap. It's going to heavily tie into Jimmy Olsen. But there's like issues where Jimmy Olsen turns into a werewolf. He fucks a mermaid. Like, Jimmy Olsen has endless potential to be a fantastic show if they're smart enough to base it on those kooky ass fucking Jimmy Olsen comics from the 50s and 60s.
But people have been complaining about the just straight up like that people are fatigued of all these type of humor projects.
But
so, like,
I mean it's a comedy. I think it like Clayface is a horror movie, and this is like a comedy show. You know, like so I'm just hoping it's a good sitcom. I don't really, I'm not. It's not like I think it's kind of in a different realm than like Iron Man yelling, well, that just fucking happened, or whatever, you know?
Yeah, Jimmy
Like, I can
Olsen's got
kind of...
potential.
I don't think... I mean, and who knows? It depends on the showrunner, and the ultimate thing is, like, if the Jimmy Olsen show isn't funny, then the Jimmy Olsen show isn't funny, and it sucks.
I just don't want it to be the Supergirl scenario. Not Supergirl, the She-Hulk scenario.
I don't think it can be anything.
Well, She-Hulk was a weird show because it kind of wanted to be a straight comedy, but also really felt the need to be a Marvel show or like a fucking superhero show at the same time. And to be honest, I kind of like She-Hulk. I think it's better than a lot of the
I
garbage that
understand-
Marvel
I
shoveled
understand
out.
the idea of that. I just wish, for me as a fan of She-Hulk from the comics, I wish that She-Hulk was actually just like they would got a good team of writers and it was actually funny.
Yeah,
Like-
no, I agree.
Like for me, I know why people enjoy parts of it, and I get that. Like I don't hate the thing. I always know people think it's one of the worst things possible. For me, I don't think that. I just think that if you're gonna commit to doing a comedy, like one of the things I love, like that I'm really impressed by.
But I think the thing is, I think Jimmy Olsen's not gonna be fighting villains. He's gonna. I think
like
it's
a detective, like him, like taking the little boards and like looking at like who these villains in the DCU are.
Yeah.
That's
And that's
It's gonna be
basically-
it's gonna be him like going around and interviewing them and getting up to shenanigans.
Yeah, I think
It's gonna be a sitcom.
I think it's gonna be a sitcom where he meets he interviews random weird heroes and villains that are, I mean, like they might bring back Gorilla Grodd for a Flash movie or something and introduce some people that are actually signing on potentially to show up for future projects. But it kind of sounds like it's gonna be like a live action Harvey Birdman. Did you ever watch Harvey Birdman,
One of the greatest shows
Joe?
ever made.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Like the fucking, like he's like, he's fucking bringing Scooby-Doo to court and shit. He's defending
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo and Shaggy and the Fred Flintstone and garbage. I think it's gonna be like that, where they're like, okay, let's get these characters who are kind of ridiculous and then put them, have a couple straight men and then Jimmy Olsen sitting here interviewing these guys and comedy ensues. So. But I think that's kind of smart. Like, you got to do these sort of unique projects. And, like, what is the Jimmy Olsen show really going to cost when compared to, like, I feel like they're taking a different approach than Marvel. Because, like, at the same time, you look, every Marvel show is, what if we took the Marvel movie? And I've heard Wonder Man is kind of good because it's less formulaic than a lot of them. But I think James Gunn from the get-go was like consciously like, okay, we're not really gonna just do like, you know, superhero shows in a traditional sense.
Yeah,
I mean, even Peacemaker is like very comedy heavy. Like, I think Peacemaker far surpasses any of the Marvel Disney Plus attempts because it's a funny show. I was a little mixed on parts of season 2, but I thought overall, like, I like Peacemaker. I like what they did with it.
My issue with season 2 is that they lacked. It had a strong opening, but it lacked a narrative finish. So. Like, yeah, they had the whole end credit scene setting up the two things that they had with, like, Checkmate and then setting up Salvation, which is interesting. But, like, the problem is the finale itself was a show that had such a great, like, I think, looking at majority of it, like, I loved a lot of season 1 a lot. I was constantly watching season 2 going, like, until the finale. I was like, this show is, like, genuinely the best thing that, other than The Penguin, it was one of the best shows that DC was putting out. Like, when you look at like some of the stuff they were doing, I thought everything was landing very consistently. I loved the entire time we were on the other Earth. I loved it because I loved seeing Peacemaker like the way.
I like how they did the multiverse in that show too, because it wasn't like
in your face and crazy.
Like the multiverse in the MCU's like. It's the multiverse, so
but
now I'm meeting Johnny Storm, but he's played by Chris Evans, and it all feels very
the thing that bothered me is that
desperate.
The thing that bothered me was like that when they got to the episode before the finale, I was like, I thought watching season 2, well, I think it was episode 6 and 7. I was like, okay, this feels like this is the end of the season. Right? And then we get the finale, and the finale is we have to do all these weird stuff, and then like we're gonna relive this romance between Hardcore and Hardcore and Peacemaker and all this weird stuff, and then it leads into the thing I didn't understand is the whole plot of the season was building on him trying to go to this other world and loving this other life, and then they set up that his own brother was gonna come after him from the other world. And then they did nothing with it. And then it literally just like the whole play, and I know people didn't like this. I love that they did, we showed all these different worlds, but they focused on this Nazi world as the one that he goes to where everyone's bad. And I think that the narrative, I know people didn't like that this wasn't done because they wanted to do something different. I think narratively, you would have told a more interesting story if you focused on the conflict between him and his brother. Like, I like that.
No, I agree with that.
I think
especially
that
since
issue.
It doesn't seem like they have a hell of a lot of plans to
and the thing
make
that really
a
annoyed is
season
like,
3.
the thing that was really annoying is like
it felt like they were like, we're gonna do the season 3 setup in like Superman, and then they didn't, which I think is part of the problem there.
And I hated the fact that the finale put these threads out there that was like, okay, here's this thread of this thing. And the thread that we know of that they did was literally okay. This here, like, I love that they had Peacemaker go on this arc that he didn't want to have that cycle of violence anymore. I love that the John Cena just dropped some of the hardest, most amazing acting of his time as Peacemaker. And I thought that stuff was great. But then, like, when you jump into, like, my problem is the biggest thing. I remember I was working on YouTube videos and thumbnails and stuff, and like everyone on the internet kept saying, "Oh, Peacemaker's gonna have these really, they're gonna end with this banger cameo to the larger connection of the DCU," and then nothing happened. Like, I was hearing like Blue Beetle, and then they said, like, I don't know how it got misquoted, but James Gunn started talking about like his favorite episodes of Peacemaker, and everyone somehow connected the dots to that the finale was gonna have the big cameo, and the big cameo was that. It was literally just that since it connects to Superman, it was just that Lex Luthor showed up.
Good.
What'd you say?
That's a good thing, yeah.
Well, no, but it's like, people didn't like that because they wanted a grander, big surprise. So like,
but the problem is if you keep chasing, and this is like I was saying, it's kind of emblematic of the problem. who would make sense to show up? And the only person, I don't know, like Booster Gold or Ted Gord, I guess, maybe. But
Well,
those
the big rumor
shows
wasn't
are-
because James Gunn said it was connected to it. The big rumor is it was going to be Blue Beetle, and that was really happening because it was the whole multiverse meta thing, and it just didn't get. Weren't able to accomplish it because of rights and stuff. I don't know how he was going to do this, but I don't even know about this. The big deal that they were trying to do and that it didn't get to go through because of scheduling conflicts and of course the legal rights of it was James Gunn was trying to get Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool in there, even though it's a different universe, and he was close to being successful.
I did hear about that.
Yes, and so that's what they were trying to do, and they couldn't.
That
succeed.
could have been. I mean, I guess it could have been kind of fun to see that for a moment. And I guess I kind of understand the disappointment, but you can't really do anything because like you said, the rights to the characters. It's just you could have Deadpool show up for 2 seconds for no reason, but it's unlikely they would be you can use him for a whole
with
last
this
show.
DCU stuff is I know you kind of looked at the Suicide Squad and looked at Peacemaker hand James Gunn to DCU, all these great things, but I think my biggest thing is as much as I love a lot of the things that James Gunn has created, I'm not at DC. I'm not at a place where nor Zack Snyder nor James Gunn. I know you think that James Gunn is better than Zack Snyder. I think they both are the wrong pick to run these universes because I think that Man Tomorrow could be really special. He could be great. That would be awesome, right?
I think it's too early to say definitively if James Gunn's the wrong choice because in ways I see where James Gunn would end up. I mean, he's trying to.
I'm just counting all.
He's trying to give variety and stuff.
I'm
Zack
just
Snyder's plan was to make edgy. That's worth
Zack
noting.
Snyder's overmanaged, dude, because Zack Snyder's currently sitting at 0 good movies made ever.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
No, that's true. I mean, when it comes to the
I'm
movies
not
part,
just talking about his DC movies. I'm talking
no,
about
yeah.
all
When you,
I mean, we're
the whole shebang.
people are restore the Snyderverse. Are you sure you want the Snyderverse back? I mean, did we see Rebel Moon? Did we see Army of the Dead?
well, the whole problem with that sort of nonsense is these people didn't care to go watch the Snyder movies, and then they literally were all mad about it, and then now they're mad that they don't have those movies, which is crazy. But if we restored the Snyderverse, it wouldn't matter because people wouldn't care, and that's the thing I don't understand. Why?
I also think what we were seeing with critics and audiences is people saw Batman v Superman because it was 2016, and it could have been just Batman and Superman, two guys in Batman Superman suits shirting on camera, and it would have made money because it was a different time. But people didn't want to see Batman and Superman like that, and that's why beyond the Snyder fans who don't shut the fuck up ever, there's no cultural impact to those movies. I don't hear anybody saying anyone real a non-Snyder
that's
person.
the thing that's
I've seen Batman v Superman 20 times, and
I think the
can
one
say,
issue that I struggle with, that I think this is the biggest downfall of everything, is the fact that my big issue with this whole thing is that Snyder, I just don't think, and I know this is crazy because I know there's these psycho fans, I think it has nothing to do with James Gunn. It has nothing to do people want to say yeah, there's superhero fatigue. Yeah, people struggle with making good stories. The biggest issue with DC is, and I think this is the thing that people don't think about, but I have come to the place that I agree with this. The damage is done. No matter who you get to run DC, I know that they planned out this universe and they had plans, and that's great and everything. The reason I'm not losing faith in the DC because I think James Gunn is a bad person to run these stories. I think they shouldn't have run this in the first place. And I think the reason why they shouldn't have run this in the first place is because these morons, because they were allowed to make this Snyder Cut, right? If we would have never got the Snyder Cut, we would never hear from the Snyder fans again.
Yeah, they would have gotten bored.
The mere existence,
it refreshed them.
The mere existence of this movie that did this. You have to remember, when you look at DC fans, the unfortunate thing is people like to underestimate how many of these Snyder morons there are. And they're so, even if there's 5 people, they're so loud online that it leads to immediate DC discourse. Like, there are so many people online that I see fire James Gunn, do this, like, consistently. And it's hurting the brand. That's the thing that sucks, is James Gunn doesn't get the chance to do good even if he could get to, because these guys are out here slandering his name just because they're not his guy. You know, like, because they're not, that they so clinged on to Zach so much, but Zach has moved on and done other things. But his own fan base won't accept that.
Zach constantly stokes the Zach seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, but
he does a lot of good stuff. He constantly stokes the flames where he's like, you know, guys, be more nice to my good friend James Gunn. Anyways, here's a picture of behind the scenes from Batman versus Superman. But at the same time, it is his movie, and he's clearly, evidently proud of the films. So, like, I get it. But also, at the same time, the Snyder Cut came out fucking 5 years ago. It's been a long time. People still care for some reason, which I don't understand. I don't think these people watch the movies though anymore.
Yeah, he's only doing this to just like the reason why he's doing this is because it's a social media gimmick. It's because he's got new projects coming out. It's an engagement gimmick, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like we know he's got. I heard he's. I don't. Oh, we haven't talked about this. He's speaking to Zack Snyder. Do you know about his next movie?
Isn't it like some fucking like SWAT team movie or something?
Well, so he's supposed to do a UFC movie of some sort, and then like his next big project that's announced is, I don't know why they're doing this. I think it's a very bad idea, but they're remaking Escape from New York.
Oh yeah.
You heard about this?
That's fucking. And why Zack Snyder?
Mm-hmm.
John Carpenter has famously said, "I don't watch any of the remakes of my movies, but I do like to cash the check." Which is why he allows them to like remake
and the
Halloween
stupid hopium
and this
that they're
and
holding
that.
on to. The stupid hopium they're holding on to for this new movie. The reason that people are being loud as fuck.
So you know what? I don't want to see Zack Snyder's Escape from New York. I will because I like Escape from New York and I like John Carpenter, and I'm always morbidly curious about Zack Snyder. But here's the thing, like, you know what? I'm happy they're making it because you know what? If it makes Zack happy to make an edgy reboot of Escape from New York, and if John Carpenter's happy that he gets to cash a ginormous fucking check
John Carpenter
about
gets
it,
$5 million to continue expanding his video game collection.
John Carpenter says, "You guys will pay me $5 million to make this movie," and they say yes, and he says, "Okay, have fun."
Make it in the first place. Have fun.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, this man makes a fortune off of people just remaking it. It's the same thing. Paul Verhoeven's kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Where he's like, "Oh no, they're remaking my movie. They're not following the intent." Starship Troopers number 35. But then he's like, "Oh, I'm getting $5 million. Okay, do I need to go on an interview and pretend I like it or something?" Whatever you say, man. Just make sure that fucking check doesn't bounce. So you know what? But yeah, no, I think, you know, it is one of those questions where the movie fan in me is like, well, Escape from New York is a perfect movie that aged well and doesn't need to be remade as an edgy reboot. That surely won't be as memorable. I think it's crazy they're rebooting it. That seems like something they would have done 15 years ago.
Yeah.
One topic I did want to talk about that's unrelated stuff is because of the superhero drama stuff. You know, the thing I've actually... So we were talking about our favorite movies of this year, right?
Right.
The thing that I'm diving into right now, and I'm even more... because I've kind of, like... I watch these superhero movies for content for, like... Because I know people want to talk about them or whatever. But my enjoyment, my bread and butter right now, especially with my connections to it, is... I'm loving this year how many great, high-quality, really good written... We're about to get the resurgence of martial arts movies. Because my favorite movie of the year that I saw this year is I saw The Furious last month.
Oh, yeah.
And oh my god, The Furious is my favorite movie of the year because it is literally like the plot. You've seen it before. It's typical taking shit like, oh, guy's deaf, and then his daughter that he tried to train in martial arts literally gets kidnapped by traffickers. right?
Right.
And she's like, oh, I don't want to learn martial arts, Dad, whatever. I'm like,
Sound of Freedom Corps.
Gets shot. But the thing that makes this movie crazy is that every single time there is action in this movie, the way the choreography is done in martial arts, it's that Jackie Chan level, like, use of your environment. But what's really brilliant about it is it's not the comedy Jackie Chan type stuff. It's the serious stuff. So, like, there's a fight scene where, like, they're fighting in different environments, and, like, they have the guy that plays Sub-Zero in this movie. And the movie's called The Furious because it's funny that the one guy wants to go raise havoc to go find where his daughter is, right? But then, like, it's funny, he ends up getting into a fight scene in like, a big underground arena with a guy who knows judo. That's the guy that plays Sub-Zero from the newer Mortal Kombat movies. And he's, like, also got stake in this fight. So at first they do the classic thing when they start fighting, and they do a different spin on it, and then eventually they stop fighting. He's like, oh wait, you want revenge, I want revenge, we're both pissed off, right? All right, let's go kick the shit out of these guys. And like, the really cool thing about the movie, the thing that makes it good, is it has real stakes, and the bad guys of this movie are like, okay, we're really, really bad guys, the whole trafficking plot. And you're seeing the same plot in all these Jason Statham modern Hollywood movies, but this isn't made by modern Hollywood directors. This is made by actual, like, foreign people.
Chinamen.
And Chinamen, I was going to say. And they're doing it brilliantly because there's a character in this movie where they did the best villain twist I've ever seen, right? So there's this bad guy where there's the whole thing where he's, like, literally, like, he's literally like this guy that looks like Clark Kent. It's like, oh, he's got this lovely girlfriend, and this girlfriend's having a baby and whatever. And the dad, like, finds out he's like, this guy's a scumbag, like, dude with glasses. Like, oh, this is gonna be one of these movies where this guy's just gonna be the stupid pencil pusher, like, behind the scenes, annoying bratty kid, and just like, and just like literally sits here just bitching and complaining and sending thugs after, like, most martial arts movies. And there's a moment in the movie where he fucks up, and the guys in the operation that, like, that took him in basically tries to take his life, and then they try to, like, kill him, and he takes the glasses off, and full, like, Clark Kent to Superman moment, they reveal in the movie, because every single time in this movie there's power scaling of who's the better martial artist, right? And so it's hilarious because, like, you're like, oh yeah, this guy just decimates this entire family and, like, accidentally kills his girlfriend tragically, and, like, because she sees him, like, do this crazy shit, like. But the crazy thing is, like, even though there's multiple different types of fighters, different styles put on display in this movie, it's not a karate movie, it's not a kickboxing movie. It's it has, one guy knows kung fu because it's what he studied to help ease his mind. One guy knows judo, one guy knows this, and, like, the styles are blended so differently. So the bad guy is a taekwondo guy, but you don't know that he's a taekwondo guy. And there's the other guy from the raid that was, like, the main boss, like, dude with the dreads or whatever, and he's, like, just like this hitman with a bow and arrow, like, running around doing crazy shit, like. And so every action scene in the movie just gets crazier and crazier, and the big plot, like, by the time you get to the climax of this movie, this last guy is, like, just all of a sudden, like, the best fighter in this movie. And, like, I guess he's been in other martial arts movies I haven't heard about. I recently heard him. Funny enough, his name's Joey, and so, like, he, like, literally is out here as, like, one of the top, like, taekwondo guys. And when you get to the climax of this movie, you have the two dudes, and then you have the two bad guys, right? No one's on anybody's side. Like, yeah, kind of the good guys kind of are together, but, like, it's 2v2. And they're fighting in almost like a Yakuza way where, like, every single thing that they can get their hands on is their weapon. So sometimes it's hammers like Old Boy. There's literally a scene where they're outside in the rain, and this bad guy, it's almost like a video game boss fight where he's not going down. And they're doing all these crazy damage to him and all these crazy things. And they're literally, at one point, they pick up bicycles outside and start fighting them with them like they're swords. At one point, they're throwing like pallets at each other. There's sledgehammer stuff. There's, like, I just love it. I love it because it's like it told you what the movie is before you went to see the movie, and then it still surprised you and still delivered.
Right.
And it's the only movie I've seen right now I think action level holds a candle to the raid in any way, because it literally, like, they delivered the choreography. It didn't look sloppy. It didn't look cheaply made, and it didn't look Hollywood. And I think that was just amazing. So, like, I'm really into, like, anytime I hear anything about a new martial arts movie, whether it's on streaming or whatever, I'm watching because I'm just that's the genre I'm clinging to right now. Because
my genre is the kaiju genre, because not because of the shit ass American movies.
Did you see the new teaser for -1?
No, I haven't.
There's a new
But
teaser
I'll
out.
tell you, I'm excited for -1. I don't know if I want to see the teaser
You think
because
you
I
watch
just
it?
want to. I want a raw dogger. I want a raw dogger in theaters.
Yeah, you're ready for that Godzilla. I feel it, man.
Metaphorically,
yeah,
of
Kaiju's
course.
a good one, man. Everyone's got their thing. Kaiju's good.
Kaiju movies are fucking sick. I love kaiju movies.
Yeah, I
It's
think
been
it's
one of my favorite genres for a long time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think James Gunn's DCU is 100% cooked. But I do worry with the David Ellison
Yeah. the merge.
accusation. Yeah, David Ellison that
From what I read right now,
it
they're
could
not ready to give.
potentially. Yeah, I mean, I think they'll like Clayface, if that's a hit, even if it probably won't make enough money that it's gonna
Well, my
break them
concern-
even off of Supergirl. But Supergirl, I mean, technically could maybe turn around on streaming as an aspect that people have to consider.
Yeah.
I don't think superhero movies are hitting the monetary levels they did years ago, but streaming is a factor now.
My concern that I'm worried about is the fact that we know, especially with these type of superhero movies, my biggest concern is, like, once again, like, yeah, you can have your doubts about Doomsday, but, like, once real movies start coming out again, like, real superhero movies, like, I know you have your doubts, whatever, but I've talked to some experts and some people I know of that have a lot of access to a lot of information,
Right.
and I think Spider-Man's going to be the first real superhero movie to come out, and when it comes out, if it's based on the projection of what kind of money it's making right now, I've heard.
What do you
it's
mean the
definitely-
first real superhero movie?
Like, I mean, like, in a while where everything's been kind of like the typical
Right.
superhero tropes. When they see it's a real movie with real acting and, like, Jackie Chan was there in real fight scenes and, like, doing Spider-Man things, it's the most Spider-Man movie that everyone's ever wanted. Not Tony Stark cameos, not all that stuff. Because the people in this movie, like Hulk and Punisher, they're not cameos in this movie. They have roles. But it doesn't have to be like, oh, let's team up, guys, because this is a comic book. It's a story because of what's going on in the story.
Right.
And, like, and that's the thing, like, I've heard Spider-Man, I think the last projection I heard was more money than any movie I've seen this year that Spider-Man's gonna make. Like, with the box office this year has been kind of shit for most movies, not just comic book movies. And there's been a couple things, like, kids movies have made money, but, like, Spider-Man's last projection, let's see what it was. I had it on here. Oh, yeah. So Spider-Man right now, pun intended, is setting for spectacular 20-30 million to 20-50 million domestic box office right now. That's what the hype
230
is
to
like.
250 million?
Yes, that's where it's going for right
Wouldn't
now.
be bad.
What do you say?
So that wouldn't be bad. Like opening week, opening week. Or?
Yeah, that says debut for the craziness. Like, that's what they're saying, and they've done a good job. Like, I've seen a lot of trailers for a lot of movies, and every piece of marketing I've seen from Spider-Man, I still can't tell you what the plot of this movie is. Like, and I think
Right.
that's a good advantage for them, because, like, when you watch your trailer, you look at, oh, you know what the plot is. I'm like, and I know, like, even though I could theorize and do fancy, like,
My theory is it's gonna be Spider-Man 2 again.
I mean, yeah,
I'm
Spider-Man 2 is
starting
great.
to like Spider-Man 2 again, yeah.
I mean, if it's Spider-Man 2 again, that would be great, though, because we love Spider-Man 2.
I do
Yeah, but
like Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2 already exists.
Yeah,
But
that
it's
is
not
kind
going to
of
be
a-
exactly Spider-Man 2 because there's going to be differences. There's going to be changes. Like, there's going to be storylines with Spider-Man, but one advantage that they have in this situation is that the one big thing is that I know people love to glaze him because he was nostalgia back in the day. Tom Holland is proven himself to be twice the actor that Toby is, and I think that what they're about to do is really deliver something really special.
Yeah, but the thing about Tobey Maguire is like he's not a good actor, but that works for this given situation of Spider-Manhood.
Yes, but people wanted Spider-Man to be a proper teenager, and like how he is in the comics, and like the thing with Spider-Man
Right.
that they're selling here is like one of my biggest criticisms with Tom is that they haven't been leaning into Tom being Spider-Man enough in all the other MCU projects with Spider-Man. But
Right.
like one of the crazy things is like the new trailer they put out the day that tickets went on sale. There's a scene where the guys I mentioned from Wonder Man that are connected, they're kind of like the main sort of villains they're trying to make us think are the villains, is Damage Control. There's a
Right.
scene where he's literally in his new Spider-Man suit, which looks amazing, and he's literally sitting there, like, because it's taking place after high school. He's in college now, and he's literally standing there, like on the ground, literally sitting there trying to like fight the villains, and they're all like aiming guns at him, and he's sitting there like, oh, do you guys ever stretch? You guys ever do yoga? You know, I can't believe I'm not in high school anymore. And then he like goes and like does the classic, like equips with them and then beats the shit out of them. And Tom has not had
Right.
that since Civil War, and that's what I want to see in this movie. I want to see him rage bait Punisher. I want to see him literally just sit there and be like, guys, it's okay. Like, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. It's okay. We're gonna have a good day, guys. Like your
Yeah.
friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's what I've been craving. That's the kind of MCU humor that we need to lean into, because that's the stuff that works with a character like Spider-Man. But with Thor, they tried to make him funny. It didn't work because Thor's not meant to be funny. People love Spider-Man rage baiting people. Like, the whole idea of them doing a PG-13 movie where Spider-Man is literally like, from what I heard from sources, is every time that Punisher tries, Punisher being coming from the Netflix universe and coming from super gritty, R-rated, like John Bernthal, right?
Right.
He tries multiple times to try and say the F word in this movie, or like
Language. That just happened.
yeah.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
And then literally like Peter is just webbing him up every single time, like
Sounds awful.
so what? That
Language.
Sounds great. Well, why don't you think that sounds
Cap,
great?
why are you being such a pussy?
That's
I mean,
accurate to
they're
like.
just redoing the language gag from Age of Ultron that everyone made fun of for years for being terrible.
Language. That just happened.
That just happened. He's right behind me. He's gonna say frick right behind me, isn't he?
Yeah, I feel they just like they wanted to lean in very heavily to.
That just happened. He did not just say that.
But like one of the things that they keep talking about is that John Bernthal somehow in every project he's in.
You know what I think the most Spider-Man thing they could do is just fucking stop having him fucking team up with people.
Yes,
I don't want to see him team up with the goddamn Punisher or the Hulk. I want to see Peter be depressed. He's like, my whole This is like the movie where you isolate Peter. If the movie's about depression, the fuck is the Hulk doing here?
That's
the
the thing
fuck
that
is
you
the
guys are-
Punisher doing
That's the
here?
thing that you guys don't understand though. None of those guys are his teammates. He doesn't have mentors anymore like he had Tony. Like this movie.
I don't want him to. I don't want.
I don't
any
want
of
him
these
to
other
team
fucking
up with
people
him
to
even.
be-
I don't want him
want-
to even be here.
I don't want a single fucking one of these.
I want him to
guys
fight
be in
the
goddamn
Scorpion and be really
Spider-Man.
fucking sad.
Well, but all the stuff that he fights, that if you look through the trailers, everyone he fights, he's fighting alone. Like every
Yeah,
single
but he
time.
fights a billion trillion people, and then the Hulk and the Punisher are here for marketing purposes. They say for marketing purposes to establish and remind people that this is part of the MCU, we need to put other characters in here for no reason.
Just make it a goddamn Spider-Man movie. The
I
MCU's dead. You don't
challenge
need any of
that.
this
Yeah,
other
right.
crap.
That's the thing. And also, as you were saying, the Punisher's an R-rated character.
Yeah.
I don't need. I just watched Spider-Man One Last Kill. That was Punisher One Last Kill. That was Punisher's sound of freedom. You know, he was beating people up and killing them and blowing their heads off and shit.
Did you like
And
it?
it wasn't very good, but but it exists. I got the really bad. Like I saw it really early before they fixed the sound mixing, so I couldn't fucking understand a thing he was screaming about the whole time. I got the gist. He's sad that his kids are dead. The same thing they'd done with him for like 5 seasons or 2 seasons of
Yeah, that was the
television.
complaint that people were unhappy about, was that he was.
They were
What did he
dipping
say?
in the same well, and it was a giant action. The action was kind of fun. It was kind of strange, but I respect that it was kind of different, if nothing else, other than like the plot. But like, do I want this character to show up in a goddamn Spider-Man movie? I don't. The answer to that is no. I don't want any characters.
Well, that's the thing that people. So apparently, like I said, like Tom Holland picked off like the stuff that they did online, what fans wanted. And there was a lot of people that
I don't want what the
that
fans
said
want.
that they said they wanted a Spider-Man and Punisher movie. Like that was the number one
Fans are fucking
consensus.
Stupid.
This Punisher did
'Cause
get
the fans also
introduced
want
in
more Zack
Spider-Man.
Snyder movies.
Yeah.
Well, that's what people wanted. That's
Who
what
are
the
these
majority of people that
fans?
actually-
Let me
people
talk
actually-
to them. Let me talk to them because they need to get a piece of my mind.
That's what
The
people
answer to the question is no.
Also, if that Avengers summary that's been going around is even halfway real, it's gonna be the worst movie of all fucking time. It sounds boring as fuck.
What's the summary? Let's hear it.
The exciting
We've been
part
talking
of the
about
summary
rumors.
is, and this is all alleged, but it's so stupid that it's pretty believable.
Okay, let's hear it.
The movie starts in the Toby Spider-Man universe, and Professor Xavier's organized a thing where he sends Wolverine and fucking
Deadpool.
Cyclops or Deadpool or some crap to go to other universes and blow them up so that they don't merge because of the time variance authority. And then Loki shows up and he brings Captain America to the Fantastic Four world because Captain America's son isn't supposed to exist. And then they go to the Fantastic Four world and Doctor Doom's there and says, I want to stop all the worlds from blowing up, and then he makes Battle World and the movie ends. Which is stupid enough to be true on every level.
I mean, that also kind of ties in with the plot of Deadpool. It actually kind of ties together the multitude of convoluted, mixed up spider or fucking multiverse movies
all
that
the crap, yeah.
makes sense. Because, I mean, the TVA has obviously got to be a factor.
Yeah.
They worked hard to establish the TVA for the Kang shit. Obviously, you got to pivot. And, I mean, that's more or less the plot of the comic. It's like all the multiverse is going to collapse. And then in the end, they'll say all the multiverses collapsed and merged into a perfect reboot of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with all of the characters except the Hulk.
It sounds believably terrible, yeah.
Yeah. We should. Are you in the middle of a mission? We should probably quit. It's been a good
I
while.
was just doing a random puzzle.
Yeah. I mean, sad. I don't know.
Also, Loki dies again. Loki gets killed by Doctor Doom for the Loki dies for the 9th time in the MCU.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sounds believable that the next Avengers movie would actually have virtually nothing to do with the Avengers and be more about the characters of we didn't own the rights to these characters previously, but now we can use them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't have that much hype for the MCU. I think the DCU has a lot of interesting things going on. I think it's going to be one of those things where it'll be a fun... Sadly, I think it's going to be it was fun while it lasted situation with the DCU.
See, I just don't want to get hyped for something that's like I would love more than anything. Like for me, I know people would hate this take because I know this is what the general audience cares about. I know people want to see the Bat Family more often than not, and I know that we had a show of it. The only thing I care about DC wise right now, the only thing that would make me like drop everything Marvel I owned and go DC, like wave the DC flag forever, is if I get a Green Arrow movie with Black Canary or something. Like, this is the only character I care about them doing anything about. That actually, because it's a character that I think that DC could really use very well right
Kyle
now.
Gallner.
Well, yeah, I know.
Green
That's
Arrow.
my pick, man. And I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I think I love Green Arrow. I'd be down. I think they should do a Longbow Hunters movie. I think
That would be fire.
I think that's what they would do if fucking James Gunn was gonna do it. Because one thing I respect about James Gunn, which I think if they reboot won't be the case, but what I do respect about James Gunn is he's absolutely been like, look, I'm not taking the traps of the last 15 years. I'm gonna actually just take like the really peak stuff from everything and try to merge it together. So you got like a lot of 90s stuff. They're like, okay, we're not gonna have Green Lantern's not just going to be Hal Jordan sitting here shooting lantern colors at other colors of Green Lanterns. Like, presumably that would happen eventually a little bit, but Jeff Johns fucking, like I said, Jeff Johns just fucking ruined DC in like 2009 because he couldn't leave well enough alone. Aquaman came back to life and looked like Aquaman. He was no longer a fucking muddy sailor man with one arm. Flash, Barry Allen came back to life. Bye, Wally West. See ya. We're actually literally going to retcon you. Cyborg is an important character in the Justice League. The fuck type of crack pipe are you smoking, dog? And James Gunn's like, I'm gonna just take a bunch of good characters, I'm gonna do good stories, I'm gonna remix the classics. I don't think Supergirl perfectly turned out, but despite what everyone says about Tom King because they don't like him personally, Woman of Tomorrow is a really good fucking comic book. And they adapted it really well for the first and third acts, and the second act of that movie kind of sucked. But you know what? I have hope for Clayface. I have hope for Man of Tomorrow. Like,
What would you like to see in Man of Tomorrow? What's something that you could see them do in DC that would be different than anything that Marvel's done? that
you know
think
what?
would be cool?
Honestly, just bring back the characters for another fun movie. Maybe some heart wrenching drama with Superman. The hard thing with Superman is he's invincible God, man. Brainiac is strong enough to like kind of make him fight, so I think there can be some drama there. But I think the biggest thing and something I really like is like the Richard Donner Superman movies were really personal dramas, and even the best parts of Man of Steel were the interpersonal dramas. I don't think Zack Snyder did nearly as good of a job as like Richard Donner. I think he made a movie that was somewhat visually exciting, which is why it's one of Zack Snyder's better films in his, we'll politely call it checkered filmography. I think checkered implies black and white, though, like good and bad. Zack Snyder's made a bunch of shit, and fucking the two best movies he has ever, the three best he has is 300, which is kind of a bad adaptation of 300. Watchmen, which is like a fucking dog shit adaptation of a really good comic carried exclusively by the fact that it's the story of Watchmen basically one for one except for that ending. And Man of Steel somehow by some miracle wasn't the worst shit I've ever seen. But you know, Superman's all like but what I was getting to is like Superman's all about the interpersonal drama. And James Gunn understands that very well, which is why they added like the Jor-El twist and like the family and kind of identity and like being an immigrant and the blatant Israel-Palestine thing. The very blatant allusions to Israel and Palestine were kind of, you know, was something at least.
People hated that shit apparently. Like I guess a lot of people were just dogging on it. And I was like,
why were people because they did it or?
Yeah, because they're grifting, you know how it is.
Well, I mean, like, are they like Israeli? I'm just kidding. It was a little bit cheesy. I'm not gonna lie, but you know what? I thought it was kind of it was something at least. It was a little goofy how they portrayed it. They portrayed a real life, very sensitive geopolitical situation in a goofy Superman scenario, and you know what? That's the most Superman thing ever. That's what the fucking Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster did all the time. Their whole fucking shtick was like, my landlord's a prick, and Superman's like, don't worry, I'll take care of that motherfucker. Then Superman would show up and like break his fucking arm and be like, you're getting the electric chair, you fucking asshole. And then the guy would get executed. I don't know if how many of like the original Superman comics you read. Superman's a giant fucking prick, which is something they changed pretty quick. But, like, the first, like, 10 issues, Superman's, like, a fucking psychopath, basically. They're like, this senator really screwed us over for corporate America, and Superman's like, you don't gotta worry about that fucking senator anymore, you fucking assholes. You know, he's calling the people he's helping assholes. He's like, don't worry about him. Forget about him. You know, and they find him in pieces in, like, the fucking Utah desert or something. That was Superman back in the day, you know? I don't really know where I was going with this. Oh yeah, interpersonal conflicts and making shit silly. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it was good. It was, I look forward to the, to Man of Tomorrow. I think do more of the same with Man of Tomorrow. I think there will be some fun action scenes now that Lex is getting the getting his Lex Luthor suit, which I like that it looks ridiculously comic accurate.
I think they did a good job with that, yeah.
It looks pretty much like Lex Luthor's ridiculous purple and green suit he'd wear all the time in like Super Friends and garbage.
I think it's cool they actually did that well.
I hope they keep James Gunn I'm not entirely convinced they will, but I don't really know what strategy is going to happen when stuff changes. I'm also not convinced the new owners of Warner Brothers actually care about Warner Brothers so much as they care about everything else.
It's an investor thing.
They want CNN so they can be like, so CNN can be like, CNN talks about how fucking great Oracle AI is. I think that's mostly what they want to do with it. I think if it makes money, it's like those Travis Knight movies. Travis Knight never made a movie in the world that fucking made $1, but people like but Travis Knight has a rich dad, you know, so he just makes what he wants. So I think something similar is gonna happen, where if the Ellisons decide that like they're getting prestige and the movies get critically good, there's a chance, but we don't know. I think if David Zaslav was staying in charge, the DCU would be fucked right now.
Yeah.
In terms of the Ellisons, I don't have high hopes that it'll survive much longer, unless like Clayface and Man of Tomorrow are a success. But I don't think they're I think James Gunn is both very lucky and unlucky, since there was a regime change.
David Zaslav is a misunderstood hero.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have to see the terrible fucking Batgirl movie.
Yeah. Well, like here's the I think Supergirl is just kind of gonna be ignored because it's during the transition period, and I think it'd be too big of a pain in the ass to find someone new. So I think assuming they can really come around on Man of Tomorrow and Clayface, and especially based on streaming numbers, things could change. Because, like, Superman was a modest hit, but it's been claimed that it was the second biggest HBO Max movie premiere of all time, just under Barbie. And in a lot of ways, if they're like, we got X amount of subscribers who seem to put a lot of time, watch a lot of Superman content, they might determine, or like Supergirl, they might determine it's worth continuing.
My concern is, because we know it's going to come out next year, as far as we're aware. My concern is they're going to have Man of Tomorrow, and we know Man of Tomorrow and the Batman 2 are going to come out in the same year, right?
Right.
Now, I know James Gunn has had access to Greenlight's Elseworlds, but you can't give him the credit for the success of Batman 2, because that all comes from Matt Reeves. So, if Man of Tomorrow is serviceable and it's really good, and people really like it, it's just a fun movie, right?
Right.
But if it's not like, if like, it's like just a fun time and people are enjoying it, but then if people like the Batman, and that's awesome, and that's great, right? But if the Batman 2 is like the Godfather to the Penguin scenario, and it's like best content that's out for DC, the DCU is fucked.
Why do you think that?
Because their cinematic universe stuff that's headed by James Gunn is not good as a standalone, the second standalone movie.
Well,
because remember, the Batman came out at a time where DC was in shambles, and it still made money.
yeah.
That wasn't a failed universe.
Because
What happens when your success universe is running, and your top superhero isn't even in your Justice League? Like, that's a problem.
Well, I don't think, like, one thing I remember when the DCEU started, people said they should just get Christian Bale for this. And the smartest thing they ever did was not get Christian Bale for this. Because the thing is, and even if they say this is in the cinematic universe and it's perfect, there's a stink with the cinematic universe, you know? It's like a horror movie. There's a stink to it, you know? There's a reek. But like Batman, these standalone movies, Tim Burton and Christian Bale made it so that people actually took the things fucking seriously. And they're not superhero movie staples exclusively. They're also just like cinematic universe, or like they're movie staples beyond cinematic universe. You know, a Batman movie has the advantage of being, it's a superhero movie, yes, but Batman's like in the realm of like James Bond. It's just like a endless cinematic staple, and Spider-Man's the same way. But I do think, in a way, there's kind of that. There's sort of a stink to it, and I think they're trying to do like kind of a prestige series. I think Warner Brothers wants the Batman to be a movie people can watch in 20 years. Now tell me this, Joe. When's the last time you watched the Marvel Phase 4 movie?
I'm not telling you that. That's not a good scenario.
It's confidential.
I'll tell you this. I can tell you.
The problem is
I
fucking
personally-
superhero movies are slop and no one watches them.
Well, here's the thing with me. So, like, for my personal opinion, there's one Phase 4 movie I watch a couple of them just because even though people have issues with parts of it, I really enjoy the bulk of it. I've watched Shang-Chi a couple times, and I just find Shang-Chi entertaining. And
I think
enjoy it.
Shang-Chi is really good for the first 2 acts, and then it
Yes.
falls apart in the third.
Yeah.
There's cool moments in the third, but yeah.
I like it. I enjoy it.
Yeah, when they go to Super CGI Hell World, I'll check the fuck out.
Fuck. I don't remember what fucking hat they were wearing. Taskmaster, you fucking asshole.
Super CGI Hell World was like, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they'll, I think you just leave Batman alone. I think it's going to be at the cost of the DCU, but I think hopefully Matt Reeves is going to do a trilogy and maybe a couple like spin-offs like the Penguin, but
Well, yeah, there's also now a rumor that Poison Ivy's going to be in his universe now. Might get a spinoff. I just heard a new rumor. about
that'd be
that,
kind
too.
of interesting, I suppose.
But then my question is like, because you're doing a Clayface movie which clearly has hints with Batman. How long can you keep Batman on the shelf when you have to make a Justice League movie? Because DC's problem, the biggest thing I think that is their biggest issue, and the biggest thing that they're going to struggle with, is people don't. Because here's the thing: we can't deny the inevitable, right? I know we want to say like Marvel does in a lot of Marvel movies. The proof of the matter is and this was proven with Endgame, right? Endgame's not a good movie, but if people do with the general audience. The one thing Marvel did really smart is if you give enough people good Marvel fan service in the right way, people are gonna forget about DC because those fans are gonna be loud enough that they're gonna forget about it. Like,
but
dude,
That's true
I think
anymore.
the
is
problem is there's
seeing it.
what fan service is left? What would surprise people at Marvel?
well, here's what
What
I'm
would
telling you.
surprise the general audience into coming? We've done Wolverine.
Have you
Wolverine's
seen?
the only
And
character
Wolverine's
I
the only X-Men character that anyone gives
But
a
have
fuck
you
about.
seen? Have you seen
We've
the
done
video?
Toby and Andrew.
Have you seen the videos of people reacting to the Avatar teasers for Doomsday?
The what?
The views for the teasers for Doomsday that came out with Avatar?
Oh yeah. What
People
about
are
him?
crying about seeing Cyclops in his iconic suit.
Yeah,
People are
sure.
crying about seeing Chris Evans. Those people are big enough now and have big enough channels
I think
that
there's
they
like
won't shut up about it.
500 people in the world left that still.
There
truly
are people who will cry about those things,
It's
but I don't
definitely
think
like
that's emblematic
30
of the general audience. Like there's a good amount of people that grew up on the Tobey Maguire. There's a lot of people who know Hugh Jackman and love those movies. Are there enough people who care about the 1990s Jim Lee Cyclops suit that it's gonna get asses in the seats just like that as a factor?
Well, because
I
that's
think
what the
it would
biggest
be pretty
critic-
minimal, and I think those people were probably gonna see the movie.
Well, that's the
anyways.
crazy thing is that I know people hate this.
You
thing,
know what
but
I'm
the
saying?
thing
Like, I
that
don't
people-
know if my grandma sees the Cyclops suit and says,
I mean, it's not even about the Cyclops thing. That was just an example of the thing.
Well,
the
yeah,
thing, the
no,
thing that
but I'm
I
just
think
saying.
the thing that I think that they're going to clamor onto, as much as people hate the fan service idea about, even the general audience right now, even though they loved Iron Man, they loved Robert Downey Jr. enough that they're excited about the fact that
That is not
that's
true.
down. It is true.
Everyone I've talked to, like random people at my work, are like, "That's so fucking pathetic and embarrassing."
Really?
It
Just
truly is pathetic. I mean, I hate
very
to.
obviously pathetic and embarrassing.
I'm
in a
surprised
way
because
that nobody
everyone
wants
I've
to-
said like I had
Nobody cares.
videos that had over 600 or more views. I talked to people about it,
in
and they have
Minecraft,
literally been like because of all the cat and shit that fucked up.
Yeah,
the
but all
system.
those internet people who watch all those reaction videos and stuff aren't like normal
They-
general audiences. They're
Right, and
comic book fans.
they would be seeing that shit
They're gonna
anyways.
see that shit even
But I've
if
talked to a
it's
couple
just
people-
2 hours of Iron Man shitting on the ground.
I've talked to a couple of general audience people from my work and everything, and a lot of them are like, literally, they just want, like, the fact that like they fucked up the Kang thing so bad, and that a lot of people, as much as it sucks, they trust familiar. Because the Russo Brothers haven't made anything that people hate yet. They are going.
Oh, they
on
made
borrowed
plenty of
trust.
shit that people hate.
They
It's
made
just,
like 15 things that people hate.
I don't think they had a movie that people like since Endgame.
No, but all their Marvel stuff is the best, so that's why they're
That's
regarded as the best Marvel, most consistent directors. So
I.
that's the thing that's the problem. If you look at the numbers speak volume.
Yeah, the numbers were
Not
I mean,
really.
you
They
could
were-
have had fucking.
They were always just...
You could have had any
If
jackass
Peyton
direct
Reed
those
directed
movies. Yeah.
Avengers Endgame, it would have made $2 billion.
No, but people love Infinity War, people love Winter Soldier, people love Civil War.
Yeah, but if
That's-
Peyton Reed directed those, nothing would have changed because the Russo brothers are just yes men for Marvel. They don't have any
Right.
agency, and anytime they make their own movies, they're fucking terrible.
Right. I think that was a perception of the Russo brothers, and then they started making their own
Then
movies,
they
and what
started making
became
the Gray Man and the Electric Stick.
what we
Fucking-
started realizing is
Dog
that they
shit.
actually just weren't
They're fucking terrible.
incredibly good directors by any stretch of the imagination.
I'd call them outright bad.
Yeah. Well,
Out and out bad.
here is what I will say. We have a chance for the Russo brothers to prove us wrong, and maybe the general audience will be there. But I think we've had a lot of movies that were like, well, that's a safe bet. And then these safe bets fail to make an impact.
But it's the general audience's fault that literally, like, the one thing I saw that was really annoying is people whined and cried about the new characters for Phase 4. And there's a whole thing, like, so, I don't know if you know about this.
Oh, I whine and
They're
cry
all
about them because they
terrible.
suck. I'm not just
No,
gonna.
they whined and cried. So here's the crazy thing. I don't know if you guys have been following this, but there's a whole campaign online right now about people are pissed that none of the characters from Phase 4 that were shit are getting any roles in Doomsday.
Right.
So Doomsday has
Fucking
less
shouldn't.
Doomsday has less females than any of the other Marvel movies, and people are pissed. So this group of fangirls and fan people and Grace Randolph and all these morons online are pissy because
Well, Grace Randolph is just traditionally a giant. I mean, she's been bribed by Funko Pops for the last 20 years. I remember watching her in like 2009, and she was like the fucking correspondent for like Marvel's like home media, like their fucking house media company. It was like the fucking Soviet Russia, and she's like, "Mine has the Funko Pops," you know, that type shit, you know. So yeah, Grace Randolph, her opinion, she's got the same opinions as like a fucking, you know.
no, people are
She's
pissed
bribed.
about no Miss Marvel. People are pissed about all.
I don't.
People have been pissy about Carol. They've been pissy
But,
about no all that stuff.
I just
been-
don't like. I'm sure people are. I'm sure somebody is.
There's-
But
there
like,
must be
who
one.
are these boogeymen that care about Captain
Statistically
Marvel?
speaking, there's probably one person in the world who likes Captain Marvel by sheer coincidence.
By sheer force of
Sheer
populace.
coincidence.
By the force of populace. Yeah, but I mean, like,
don't think
who
there's a
wants these
mass
Phase 4
outcry.
people? Like, if they made it, like if Icarus from the Eternals showed up to do anything but get killed as like fodder,
Well, that's
I
what
think
I told
people would be like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Icarus showed up to
but I
get
told
killed
people-
as fodder. People
I
would be
told
like,
people
"What
this
the fuck?"
multiple times.
Yeah,
These
that's
people,
true.
Fucking
This
guy.
is the Snyder shit all over again. These are the same people that complain about something just because it's not there anymore, and that's what they're doing because
Yeah, but they're not real people. There's like 30.
It's
of
like
these
Grace
people
Randolph
who
has
just
been paid
say
by
really stupid things on the
Funko Corporation. She works for Big Funko. She's not a real person. She works for Big Funko. She always has.
Yeah, but the problem is these people
Oh,
are getting
yes.
thousands of views on literally on Twitter.
You know
People
what,
are
though?
retweeting and they're literally
Like,
getting
good for them.
the stuff. And
You
that's
know,
really- I've seen it.
let them have it. Whatever. If you were gonna sell your soul for the Funko, it's like, yeah, okay. I don't know, but no one's gonna take. Do people take them seriously? Is the question. I don't think. No, probably not many. But that's what their audience wants. It's the same niche, you know, as like the people who, you know, grifters gotta grift. Somebody's gonna fill every niche, you know. So I wouldn't take them too seriously. I don't know. Statistically, I think everybody thinks Robert Downey Jr. coming back's embarrassing. Because he's like, this is the end. Everyone's like, this is the end. And
Like, people unprompted
it's been
at
like
my work, like
7 years.
Like people unprompted at my work who are just like some guy I meet
You know
on
what?
the job, or like
The
"Did
other
you
thing,
hear that
too,
they're
is-
bringing Robert Downey Jr. back. That's so fucking embarrassing. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, it is, man. Yeah, it is. It's not gonna go over well. Nobody cares.
Yeah, but the stupid thing that people don't
The
understand
only
is like,
characters that normal general audiences want to see are Batman and Spider-Man. They don't care about any of them other fucks. They don't
That's what
care
we've
about-
learned the last several years, is that no one gives a fuck about these fucking goddamn characters. Wolverine people liked. The problem with, like, okay, they're bringing back, like, what, Halle Berry and James Marsden and them, right?
yep.
Who gives a fuck? No one liked those people. I didn't think those people were good as the X-Men 20 years ago.
But that's
When I
because-
first saw those movies, I was like, this is fucking terrible. I just like Wolverine. And even the movies knew that, because the Bryan Singer trilogy is like, this is the Wolverine movie, but we're going to call it the X-Men. Because Fox doesn't have confidence. And then eventually Fox wised up and just got rid of the middlemen. And
Well,
made
see,
a
but
few
people have
Wolverine
complained-
movies.
People have complained about that though, because the new X-Men movie they're doing when the MCU reboots, Wolverine's not even in it. Like
That's
they're-
fine.
they're
Wolverine
lit-
wasn't in the X-Men for like 15 years.
No, so they're literally doing that to prove their point of like they're literally.
That
like,
would be that is kind of foolish of them. Because they don't have the fucking selling power to just rely on the Cyclops alone, you know. I don't feel like I'm being nihilistic about this, but like back in 2000, I mean, you also casting is key, and one thing that the problem with the X-Men is when you gotta cast 200 people in a day, it's like, yeah, okay, Elliot Page and Hugh Jackman and everyone else can just be utter fucking filler. There's no way to satisfyingly do the X-Men because there's so many damn characters. You can't do that in two. That's why, like, the X-Men should probably be like, I don't actually know how to do the X-Men. You know what I think would be cool for the X-Men?
Serialized cartoon, apparently.
Yes, no, but I think, like, honestly, you know, it'd be kind of cool. I think they should do a TV show called like Tales of the X-Men beforehand, like, or like maybe after or something. I don't know. And this sounds counterproductive based on everything I've said, but each episode is like a 45-minute vignette about one of the mutants that will eventually show up in the X-Men movie that comes out 3 months later in the summer. I think the movie shouldn't do too much to establish people other than like basic motivations, but what's the deal with Storm? You know, you get an episode about the Storm, and she's not played by Halle Berry, but she's played by Haley Berry, the Little Mermaid or whatever. Unrelated to Halle Berry. And then you get like maybe the Cyclops episode, because I like Cyclops as the leader of the X-Men, but that is his only interesting trait. And that he's got laser eyes. He's not a very interesting character, like...
He gets cucked by Wolverine.
That's true. I don't know. I just, like, I think they've used up their bag of tricks. I don't, like, without Toby and Andrew and... I mean, like, although, to be fair, they did gaslight the general audience into thinking they've ever liked Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man until now.
That's true.
Because people started... Like, I loved... Andrew Garfield was great in No Way Home. they gaslit people into thinking they always liked Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. He sucked in those movies. And I don't think it was Andrew's fault. I think it was the fault of those fucking god-awful Amazing Spider-Man movies. But people were gaslit like they always cared.
Yeah, people fucking hated him. They're like, why is he a fucking skater kid who listens to dubstep and uses
No, he
Microsoft
doesn't. He
Edge?
didn't listen to dubstep. He listened to Sony Music Group.
Yeah,
He listened to Sony Music Group pop songs. Like, they had that song that was like, remember when they in Amazing Spider-Man 2, they had that song that appeared in all the commercials in 2014?
Yeah,
Like, it's gonna be a good life or
Microsoft Internet
something.
song.
No, that was Taken 2. You're thinking of Taken 2.
No, Amazing Spider-Man
No.
also uses that when he's using his
No,
Sony Vive
no, they
to browse
don't.
Microsoft Edge.
No, they don't. They play like it's gonna. They play that song that was, God, it was in some commercial, but it wasn't Microsoft. It was different. I don't know. I don't think it was a tech company. I think it was dead ass like a laundry detergent or something. Used that as like their official theme song for a couple years, like Tide Pods or some shit. And they had it in the song in the thing. So he puts in his earbuds because he's sad about his
Sony
dead
Vive
parents.
earbuds, yeah.
Yeah, he's using like a fucking Zune or something.
A
Or
Walkman.
a Walkman. And then he starts listening to like It's Gonna Be a Good Life. I don't think it's that. It's one of those like cheery like 2014 songs. You know how everything in 2014 was like weirdly like happy, you know? We don't gotta try, it's always a good time. Like one of those songs. It wasn't that song either. I'm trying to remember what it was. But, no one liked Andrew Garfield. Everyone hated those movies. With good reason.
Yeah, they're fucking bad.
So maybe they can... I think they're attempting...
Akuma.
I think they're kind of attempting to do that same thing with the Andrew Garfield movies, though. Like, didn't you love with the X-Men movies, where like the best part was James Marsden? Because, like, when James Marsden died and they killed him off unceremoniously, you don't even really have a chance to be sad, because, like, it's like, oh, let's look back at the times we spent. He shot laser beams at Mystique on the Statue of Liberty, and that's it. And I like James Marsden. You know, I think they should...
Akuma.
They should get a hold of Sega and Paramount and get James Marsden and Doomsday with Sonic. or if you can't swing that, you could just CGI Hop over it. The Bunny movie with James Marsden.
Yeah, that is the exact same plot as Sonic.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to get hyped about superhero movies when they're just dropping shit.
Yeah, we're in the straight trash era.
I hope Doomsday is a great movie. Because I don't want to waste 4 hours of my life on crap, and I know it's going to be gratuitously long.
Well, unfortunately for you, Connor, it's going to be gratuitously long and crap.
Yeah.
It's going to be a terrible movie.
I remember one time I was watching Avengers Endgame before work, and like halfway through I was like, this is long. This is really overly long. Alright, Joe, if you were to tell me what the most hype superhero movie, in your opinion, is upcoming, doesn't have to be this year, all-time announced superhero movie, what do you got?
All time?
Or upcoming, you know, of all the announced. Doesn't have to be this year. It can be, you know. I don't think there's a fucking shitload of things announced right now, if I'm being honest.
Never happening. I would probably say, from what we know of, I probably would have to go to Batman 2 just because it has a solid foundation.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's nothing...
It's probably the only one that'll be good.
That's a little not. They'll probably make something that's okay. Yeah, I'm excited for the Spider-Man 2. I'm excited, or Batman 2. I'm excited for Clayface as well. But probably the Batman 2 as well for me. And the Batman 3, frankly. I like Matt Reeves.
Yeah, I do too. I like that he's actually making a Batman detective story, like actually a detective.
Yeah. No, I mean, the action was hard hitting. The story was smart. Robert Pattinson is just, I mean,
I just hope we get more actions. I feel like the first movie, like I know they were doing the detectives, but I think we needed a couple more standout action scenes than what we got in the first movie. Like when I rewatched the Batman, I'd see like you had the Riddler thug thing, then we had the opening in the beginning. But I feel like I really want to see in this world people that really like in the whole cat and mouse game. I want to see that classic feeling of like what is Batman gonna face in this really good Batman universe. We really see Batman really get to like struggle. So like we know
Right.
with the new movie that there's rumors about the Court of Owls and Victor Zsasz right now. So that will be interesting to see what they do with that.
yeah. No, I think there's a good shot, though. If there's Court of Owls, we're probably going to get a lot of very cool fight scenes.
I would love to see. I think one of the coolest things they could do is take a character from the Batman mythos and make them a Talon, and just make them a really big problem for Batman. I think that would be really cool, and for it to be like,
What if it was Joker? It was Barry
That'd be
Keoghan
crazy.
under the mask. I was just kind of making fun. I just played through Arkham Origins, and they're like, Black Mask is the main villain. I'm like, cool, I like Black Mask, and he takes off his mask and it's Joker, and it's like, okay, well. Ugh. They should make a new Arkham game that's actually good. I don't think it's gonna happen. Somehow they fucked up.
Said he's dead and buried, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's video games, though. Fuck everything up and call it good.
You know, the more I've been reading about the, everyone's villainizing Microsoft right now, but the more I read about the situation, it seems like they're actually David Zaslav tier misunderstood heroes. Reading the reports where they're like, some of the studios that we had layoffs from, all the people who are getting fired. Like, there are a couple unfortunate layoffs, but most of them are just like middle management people, and they're like, some of the studios had like 14 levels of management that everything would have to go through, and Phil Spencer wasn't actually managing the money, and he'd just be like, you guys can take as long as you need. So they'd take 8 years to make a game that flopped, and there was no deadlines, and there was 14 layers of middle management sucking up hundreds of thousands of dollars to do nothing.
Yeah, no, I was reading about it too. It sounds like they were kind of.
Everyone was trying to take advantage of the Phil Spencer system where they just got free money to not deliver a product, and
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those things are kind of like gratuitously, like, just bloated. I think that's honestly, I think that might be part of the problem with movies too. Like, how the fuck did? Sometimes you watch a movie and you're like, how the fuck did that cost $250 million? The Marvels, how did that cost $250 million exactly?
they had to go through 14 layers of middle management to get anything done.
Yeah,
The atmosphere sucks.
I mean that's probably accurate. Is this a good position for my legally required that just happened moment? And then it has to get passed up the line of management until it lands on Kevin Feige's desk. And Kevin Feige's like, what fucking character can we introduce? And then he opens up his encyclopedia, his
you
Marvel
gotta remember,
encyclopedia, and he starts flipping.
all this, the bloat in the video game industry especially is real fucking bad, because Elder Scrolls 8, or Elder Scrolls 6 was announced literally 8 years ago, it was shown in the teaser 8 years ago, and seemingly has had no actual progress made on it. GTA 6 has been in development for...
Hasn't GTA 6 costed like a fucking $1 billion
It's
too?
costed $1 billion. Rockstar's somehow burned through all their money developing it, which is why they can't afford to print it on discs, and it costs $100. All of the talent left years ago, and it's just a bunch of middle managers that have been kicking it around for well over a decade while making no substantial progress on it until they finally just had to release something.
Yeah.
But RIP the Blade game.
Yeah, I wanted to see the Blade game. It would have been.
Yeah, I think the Blade game you could make a cool Blade game. But honestly, I think that's extra sad. It's like, poor Blade, First the movie. The movie got canceled because of incompetence.
He wanted to fucking kill himself.
Well, yeah, he was excited to be Blade, and they're like, it's actually nothing like the Wesley Snipes movie. What you're going to do is you're going to dance around in front of a blue screen doing choreographed backflips for 5 minutes. But most of the time, you're just going to say, that just happened, and we're going to take this guy, and he's going to do the backflip in front of the blue screen. For privacy reasons, got to avoid spoilers. You actually cannot have any idea. You won't. They're like, the amazing thing about working on a Marvel film is you don't actually get any script. You just say the phonetic alphabet and AI does the rest.
It will be exciting to see the first AI-generated movie with
Avengers Doomsday.
Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah, did you hear the reports, Joe, that the guy who plays Nightcrawler, Alan Cummings, was like crying on set, like, because he's like, I don't know what the plot is. They said I was going to be in 2 Avengers.
Yep.
And they started recording me in a fucking trailer in my backyard.
They locked me in the little blue box and had me read the phonetic alphabet.
They said, don't worry, Grok will do the rest. So then Kevin Feige packed up and left me my pittance and put an envelope on my table with $100,000 and said, we'll do the rest. And they towed the trailer next door to fucking Patrick Stewart's house.
God bless Grok, man.
Did you hear the credible rumor that Ryan Reynolds started getting in a verbal confrontation with Patrick Stewart on set? Joe?
No, what was that all about?
Well, Ryan Reynolds started screaming at Patrick Stewart and said, "You're not the star of this movie, I'm the star of this movie." And then Patrick Stewart started crying and saying, "I have dementia. I'm 90 years old." And he said, "I'm confused. Who are you?" And then he's like, "Where am I?
Oatmeal?
Why is everything so blue here? Am I Jean-Luc Picard?"
Peter Jackson, why are we filming my scenes first?
"I want to see my son. My son will be home from school at 4 o'clock. Just like Evil Dead Rise.
No, Joe
Burn.
died. Bo died 15 years ago.
Oh, alright, I guess we should probably quit out of this and then check it out. Alright, Joe. Well, I'm running out of the spirit of the podcast, so
Yeah, man.
what do you have to say to our adoring audience? We went through it all. We went through, is Marvel slop? Is DC going to survive? Is Patrick Stewart being elder abused on set of Avengers? Martial arts movies are cool. Godzilla Minus Zero looks cool.
Yeah.
What else? What else, Joe? What else do we have to say before we sign
I don't know
off?
what else more to see. We just kind of have to play the waiting game and see if we get good projects. I mean, the next time we all see them, we'll hopefully have an opinion on
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
the next time we're sitting in these seats, we'll have a better idea, I think.
I mean, yeah, I'll have seen Spider-Man in about 2 weeks, so.
The thing that really excites me about Spider-Man, is just seeing him beat up guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
I'm excited for him to not just punch people like in the classic mistake in the earlier MCU movies is that like Spider-Man has gadgets and kits and stuff, and now that he doesn't have Stark Tech and can call a missile from the top of the thing, I like that he's gonna really. I think he's gonna really struggle at first. So I think some of the fights, despite a PG-13 movie, will get pretty gritty.
Yeah.
Because I think that Scorpion will be hurting him really badly. Like I really like. Did you ever see the? You don't watch a lot of Disney Plus. There was this really brilliant Spider-Man cartoon called what was it called? My Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and he was fighting the average villain of the week, getting his shit kicked in constantly. But then he was still
cut off.
But then he was still like in that show, Scorpion was like a gangster and was like his mob was like beating on Peter and like and then you have like Scorpion was doing his thing, beating the shit out of him, filling him up with toxin and poison, and then Peter just starts like laying the hands.
Right.
I really hope. I don't know if it will happen.
That's the Spider-Man formula. You have to have his ass kicked like 5 times.
Yeah. I think we're gonna see other villains other than like just typical Spider-Man like villains. Like I like that we're gonna get more of his villains that we haven't seen in a while. I hope they're really holding off on the Tombstone stuff because I want to see Tombstone just like really hurt Spider-Man, and I think that would be really cool. Like that'd be really cool if their plan is to have. They want to do their Kraven Last Hunt storyline. They have, like, I would love it if they have Tombstone be the brains behind all these other like villains. Because what a lot of people want is the Turf War story. Like the Little Caesar map showed Peter's apartment, and you can see all the locations in New York that have different villain sightings. So what'll be cool is every time Peter's taking out all the villains in this movie, it just like makes Tombstone more and more mad, and Tombstone's just like, really, like. I was gonna hire you for a job. I'm trying to get your attention. This is how you thank my offer. Now I'm gonna pick you up and throw you over the. And Tom Holland just gets bodied. Like,
yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I don't know why. I've just had a desire to watch Tom Holland get his shit rocked. I don't know.
Me too. All right, Joe. Shout out. Here is your 20 seconds to advertise whatever you want to advertise.
I'm
I think
working
they do this on
a
Joe
brand
Rogan.
new MCU power ranking. Looking through the MCU and looking at like what the power scaling is, even though what the fuck that's gonna go. There's gonna be characters in there that like are just fucking don't need to be there. Like I swear to God, if I find a power ranking with Gaia from Secret Invasion on that shit, I'm gonna kill somebody very, very quickly. That's gonna not happen very well.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, so power ranking would be cool.
Speaking of power, that was the Joe and Connor Power Hour Volume 16. Joe, what is your channel called these days? As far as I remember, it's Yoda Joe 93.
Yeah, so I've always been Yoda Joe 93. The new branded and final branded, no longer changing, is Jedi Joey. You can follow me on TikTok as well at Jedi Joey / Yoda Skywalker, because it kind of gives you a weird username type deal, but mostly
it works.
All that. My TikTok and my YouTube is the same. I also, because I have made so much content, I have a second channel now, which is games only. So I do game streams on Chill and Kill Gaming. So at nighttime, Chill and Kill Gaming, we get out there, we do some gaming, we have some fun, because the main channel is just me giving you honest thoughts. Hot takes, out of this world takes, all the things. Movie reviews, that's the famous mainstream content we're pushing out. So, Jedi Joe, you're getting the real version of me. And then, when I go to Kill and Chill Gaming, I'm just kind of like fucking Ghostface hanging out with Shaggy. I'm just like, hey man, chilling, killing, doing our thing. So.
Me, I'm like Tim Allen's Shaggy Dog reboot where he becomes the dog and...
That's crazy.
I don't really remember Shaggy Dog that well.
I just pre-ordered 2 games I'm pretty excited about. They're coming out in the next 2 months.
What's that?
I got Marvel Token Souls I'll be playing.
Oh,
Playing for the beta this month. So I have to have you over this and we can do some streams.
That looks good.
There. And of course I had to get it because I've liked the majority of the games. I pre-ordered that Wolverine game
Oh hell yeah,
because I
me
cannot
too.
wait for that Wolverine game. That Wolverine game.
I'm very gassed for Wolverine.
Yeah,
Insomniac's done good stuff. I'm excited for them to pivot away from
Glad we're moving away
Spider-Man.
from Spider-Man. It's time to get the claws out and start shredding people.
Maybe before that comes out, we can reconvene and do a specific podcast on our hopes and dreams for Marvel's Wolverine before we make
I just
our
want
proper
to see if they can make a
videos.
better version than my favorite Wolverine game, which I'm surprised it's my favorite Wolverine game considering the fact that the movie is terrible. But do you guys know the long-known tradition of the X-Men Origins Wolverine game?
Yeah, that
is
game's
better than
sick.
the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie.
Yeah, I think I can't remember if Aiden's friend had that or if we rented it at Blockbuster, but I remember playing the demo on the 360 a lot too.
I just remember me and my buddy were down in
And I know we
Views
played
and
it a
having
little.
brownies and just fucking up people and just loving the shit out of it.
You know what? I bet you this game's gonna be better. Part of the reason that game's so cool is because it's like, you know, licensed games. What the few that were cool were cool. Like the only other Marvel licensed game I really liked, I liked the Iron Man game on the PS2.
That was a fun one.
Nowadays it's a little out of date because it's easy to make those games, but at the time having all the different suits and like some suits that weren't in the film and being able to fly around and just shoot fucking all you really did was fly around and shoot the Taliban. It wasn't actually that good of a game, but I just like flying around as Iron Man and shooting up the Taliban because
cool,
that's
man.
that's the plot of Iron.
It was just a cool shit.
Okay,
yeah.
think about this. What if they just made a new Marvel movie where instead of like all the galaxy spanning shit, it was just Iron Man fucking up the Taliban again? Bring
That'd
it
be
back
crazy.
to 08. Bring it back to 08.
Yeah, I think I'm excited about the Wolverine game because I want to see Wolverine literally like I like the fact that we're gonna be going. We're not in Spider-Man's game. We're in New York and we're stuck in New York, right?
Right.
I like the Wolverine games where we're traveling the world and we're going to all the different places
Yeah.
Wolverines live to fuck of a life. Like,
I'm kind of curious what if they're gonna do. Like, I imagine they're gonna do like Weapon X and like, or
Yeah,
at least
they're
like
supposed to do Weapon
flashbacks
X.
with Weapon
You're
X.
supposed to fight Omega Red. There's
Oh.
supposed to be just for pre-ordering the game you get really good exclusive costumes and stuff, and there's also customizable claws. And one of the cool things that they have is there is a
What do they got? Like, you can choose if you want bone claws or adamantium and
yeah,
some
or you can
different
have like
colors or something.
Gambit's kinetic claws, like where you have the kinetic energy on the claws and stuff.
Oh,
Or like reflective claws, like you're reflecting off a surface and shit.
that
like,
sounds kind of sick.
yeah. Dude,
I don't know if
it's crazy.
I just pre-ordered. I don't know if I got the deluxe or the standard for
I
that.
had to get the deluxe. Man.
Do you have to get the deluxe to get all the suits?
I think so. Maybe you get the
Yeah.
standard. Maybe you get some of the standard bonuses. I have to look at what.
I'll
the
have
things
to
are.
look.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll upgrade to the
The
deluxe
upgrade
because I
isn't
am
much
pretty
more-
excited.
The upgrade isn't much more money. It's gonna
It's
be
one of
worth it
those
'cause
things where it's
I'm
like
gonna be
20
streaming the
bucks
fuck out of
more.
that game, dude. But one of the things I love about the game is they got the guy from Spartacus to be the voice for Wolverine. And
Fuck yeah.
what I love about the Wolverine game is like the MCU wants you to think Wolverine screams and stabs his claws into things. I like that this is a real Wolverine game because like Wolverine is like going rageful and charging and yes, stabbing and spinning and doing all the things Wolverine does. But they're actually building him as a martial artist because of all his history.
Right.
So like not only are you able to slash and stab, but like he's doing kicks and like I love it how like I saw a meme on TikTok where everyone's like everything that Wolverine has in his environment is his weapon. So like there's scenes where like you're Wolverine, but you can like throw someone into something, you kick someone, they go through like they die no matter what. And you know the downside of the Spider-Man thing is like the Spider-Man games, you are literally like, hey, you're webbing people up and you're taking them to jail, or you're doing this, you're doing a boss fight,
Right.
whatever. And that's all great for the world of Spider-Man. But Wolverine, you're killing hundreds of soldiers and sliced up sentinel
Right.
heads and like fucking.
Oh, I'm excited for the Sentinel boss fights that are
That's
inevitable.
pretty fun. I'm excited to do my claws and everything, man. Wolverine's always been one of my favorite characters. I really hope, as much as I love Hugh Jackman, I really hope, even if it's not in the main movie, I really hope in the reboot we just get a Wolverine movie or show when they start making Disney Plus a good enough platform again.
Right.
Just like Wolverine going to the different like countries. Like I'd love a movie him just training with like maybe like the hand or like
Right.
something crazy. Like I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, just take from the Frank Miller run. I liked the 2013
That's the other thing
Wolverine.
that's
It's not
crazy. People- we
excellent,
had
but it
Hugh
was
Jackman
good.
so long, and people always talk about Old Man Logan, but you can tell people aren't really Wolverine fans because I really don't think even with Hugh Jackman's run, I think you can still do cool shit with Wolverine that they haven't done.
Oh,
yet.
there's endless Wolverine stories.
Yeah, so you could still, like, whoever the next guy is that becomes Wolverine, even if they just run with Cavill for a little bit, say, well, can't give him a DC, I would watch some Henry Cavill Wolverine movies. He was also the best part of Deadpool Wolverine for me. The Calvary just showing up. The fact I want his action figure.
I think
thought
like
that
it's
was
easy.
cool.
It's easy enough to find. There's always a few people who could play Spider-Man in every generation. Wolverine is someone where like Hugh Jackman. I don't know if he was great casting at the time, but it worked out really well. It's gonna be big fucking boots to fill. And like even Superman, it's like, you know, David Cornsweet, Henry Cavill, Christopher Reeves. There's always somebody that can play Superman.
Do you think they keep Cavill for a little bit when Hugh Jackman needs to hang it up for a little bit, just so that they can find a proper, like, younger replacement?
I mean, I think the hard thing with that is then you got to come up with a reason that he's replaced. So I think you do kind of got to go fresh. You got to go younger.
Yeah.
I think we might get Cavill in like Secret Wars as another cameo because it's fun, but like I don't think we're really
Hopefully
gonna.
we get him in a cameo where it's like something big, like not just like showed up and Deadpool rejects him. Hopefully he like fucks people up and stuff.
No, I think
Like,
that
what
would
if we
be
got
cool.
Hugh Jackman and both of them in there in a scene together? Like, because they're really gonna do Secret Wars right. The only thing I think, like, as much as fan service stuff that they can do, and their peak fan service has to, like, whatever they do in Doomsday, they can do some fun things, but they have to save all the best fun stuff for Secret Wars.
Right.
Because in Secret Wars, we're literally gonna see something we talked about doing in the 2000s that we never got, which is we're gonna see Toby and Hugh Jackman. Like, I don't know. That's gonna be the weird thing, because in Doomsday, they're gonna kill each other and they don't like each other, but then in Secret Wars somehow they're gonna be like kind of bros,
Right.
because they're supposed to lead a team of Avengers. So how are you gonna make that happen? That's what's gonna be my question. Is like, but I know people like just people dog on Deadpool and Wolverine. I am so about, as long as he wants to do it. I think there is gonna be, as much as I love Logan's ending, and as much as I'm not always down with the multiverse and the variants, there's enough good Wolverine Hugh Jackman that I want to see. After watching Deadpool and Wolverine, I still was like, yeah, Wolverine in that suit. I think I need a little more Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I think I need to see it. I need to see some more. Whatever that forms, if we get another Deadpool and Wolverine movie, it's them sharing an apartment, Wolverine tearing up the sofa. Like, I'm down for all of it.
I'm sure they'll probably squeeze. If this is his finale, hopefully it's cool.
Hey,
But anyways, I think that was volume 16.
Yeah.
I'm getting tired, but it was good, and I guess we'll do a fuller podcast maybe on like the Wolverine game when we get closer to release, or maybe it's something we could talk about when we get a couple weeks into the game or something as an impression. And I'm sure if something arises, we'll make another one. So we'll catch you next time.